This poor boy was the one who got the highest score in the national exam, but because his family was poor, he had to move to a remote rural area to live. With little money, he could only rent a dilapidated old house. When the boy was going with the landlord to sign the rental contract, a car suddenly drove by. There was a person in the car. The landlord said that he was the third son of the Congo group, but he was just the illegitimate child of that wealthy family. At this time, the boy also accidentally knew that he would be studying at the same school as this young master. When evening came, in a nearby mansion, fireworks were flying brightly in the sky. Below was a lively party for the aristocrats. The host of this party was the eldest son of the Congo group, Kong Inju. Inside, the third son of the Congo group, Kong Inha, was locking himself up and looking outside with a dull gaze. The poor boy stood there admiring the grand party. Coincidentally, he also saw young Master Inha in the building across the street. The next morning, the boy went to the convenience store to apply for a job, but the manager there said that they did not hire high school students. Surprisingly, the boy saw Inha casually putting the items from the supermarket into his pocket. The manager saw it, but did not dare to say anything. Inha also watched the boy leave with an annoyed look. The poor boy continued to go to a barbecue shop to apply for a job. Luckily, the owner of the shop accepted. When Taeho went outside, he saw Inha leisurely eating an apple from a stall on the side of the road. Taeho did not want to cause trouble, so he kept walking silently. But not long after, he was blocked by Inha and said provocative words. However, Taeho calmly responded and left proudly. The next day, while Inha was sitting in class, the homeroom teacher walked in and introduced a new transfer student. Taeho walked in and briefly introduced himself. When Inha saw Taeho, he smiled smugly. The homeroom teacher also introduced Taeho's excellent achievements, causing all the students below to open their eyes wide in surprise. Everyone began to discuss why such a genius would come to such a remote rural school. At lunchtime, Taeho was about to eat when Inha came up to take his seat. Taeho, who did not like trouble, accepted to leave. However, Inha continued to put his feet on the chair and expressed his dissatisfaction. However, Taeho did not say anything, just patiently turned his back and looked for another seat. Unexpectedly, Inha felt looked down upon and threw the lunch tray at Taeho's back. At this point, Taeho's patience had reached its limit, so he threw the tray of food right in front of Inha. Then the two started fighting. It wasn't until the teacher showed up that everything stopped. Because of the fight, the two had to go to the office to write a self-criticism. A moment later, a male student came in and announced that Inha had been allowed to leave by the teacher. Inha stood up and left, not forgetting to wish Taeho a happy stay. In the evening, Taeho stood in front of a martial arts center and read the billboard advertising an MMA class. But when he looked at the tuition fee, he sadly left. Suddenly, Inha appeared and asked Taeho if he wanted to take that class just so he could learn how to beat Inha up. Taeho said he wanted to learn that to kill someone. Then, when Taeho was leaving, Inha suddenly said that he would teach him martial arts. However, there was one condition. Taeho had to beat Inha. Faced with this challenge, Taeho, despite having nearly been beaten to death before, didn't hesitate to accept. Fortunately, when Inha led Taeho into the ring, he threw face protection for Taeho. After that, Inha continuously delivered accurate blows to Taeho. Finally, he knocked Taeho down with a punch to the stomach. However, Taeho still tried to endure the pain to continue fighting. At this moment, Taeho suddenly saw Inha as his father's image, accompanied by his father's words, "Let's meet again." Unexpectedly, Taeho got up and pressed Inha down. Then came his continuous and crazy punches to his opponent. Fortunately, the reason of a genius reminded Taeho to stop in time. Inha asked Taeho if he really wanted to kill him. After that, Inha invited Taeho to eat hamburgers with him. Then the two started to laugh and talk to each other more comfortably. Inha drove Taeho home on his motorbike and asked Taeho to be his friend. However, Taeho said he didn't like it and went straight into the house without looking back. The young master was angry and loudly asked the other party to transfer the money back for the hamburger. After saying that, Inha angrily accelerated and drove away. Meanwhile, Taeho at home also started to think about the friendship proposal that Inha had just made. The next day, when Taeho was standing alone on the school rooftop, Inha walked up to him and talked. At this time, Taeho told Inha about his family. Taeho had a stepfather. Due to domestic violence, his stepfather had been sentenced to death and was in prison. His mother had to run everywhere to escape the pursuit of him and his subordinates. It turned out that Taeho wanted to learn martial arts to protect his mother. Then, unexpectedly, Taeho turned to Inha and asked him to be his friend. But who would have thought that Inha was still angry about being rejected yesterday, so he did not agree. Taeho immediately revised his proposal, suggesting that they become partners instead. Taeho did not intend to only compete in small tournaments. He wanted to use Inha to help him participate in big tournaments. On the contrary, Taeho would help Inha get everything he wanted. Inha immediately laughed and said that apart from his smart head, Taeho had nothing. Taeho then said that he would give Inha his 0.1% head and go to Hanjiok University with Inha. They would decide what to do together. Inha smiled when he heard that, and the friendship between between the two former opponents began from there. Many years passed, and Taeho is now a student at Hangyeok University. He was extremely busy with his hard life of studying and working. He did all kinds of jobs, from a tutor at a tutoring center to a porter. That day, when Taeho just stepped out of the bathroom, In-ha was already waiting outside. He had a birthday cake in his hand and a personal chef beside him. It turned out that In-ha had prepared a full banquet to celebrate Taeho's birthday. However, the host of the party did not seem happy or surprised, which made In-ha quite disappointed. Taeho gave In-ha a USB containing the report he had personally drafted so that In-ha could submit it on time. In-ha received the USB and immediately sent Taeho a message in return. This was the address of one of Kanggo's mansions. In-ha proposed to Department Head Moon that Taeho be his younger sister's math tutor. He also added that he was the only one who was good to Taeho like that. After that, In-ha also served his friend expensive dishes that he had hired a private chef to prepare. The next day, Taeho went to the university, and a lecturer informed him that Professor Choi wanted to meet him. Taeho immediately went into a private room to meet the professor. Professor Choi praised the report that Taeho had drafted on the future strategies of the Kanggo group. He even offered to buy the report. However, Taeho refused, saying that he was keeping the report for his own future. After that, when Taeho went out, Professor Choi called a mysterious person. He told the mysterious person that this report would be a new power for the Kanggo group and that it would open a new era for the other party. The person on the other end of the line was Kang Sung-ju, the second son of the Kanggo group. Taeho searched the internet for news about the Kanggo group. He discovered that the two sons, Kang In-ju and Kang Sung-ju, were fighting each other. They were both striving for the position of the group's future strategy director. Then, Taeho saw his neighbor, Hye-won, also at the library. However, Taeho tried to avoid his neighbor. When he went to buy a cup of coffee, Hye-won appeared right next to him. She said that they were in the same class and were neighbors, but Taeho pretended not to know her. After that, Hye-won left and deliberately left coffee she had just bought Taeho. Taeho didn't understand her intentions, so he called out, "Hey, you there?" She turned to look at him and said that her name was Hye-won, so next time, Taeho shouldn't call her hey or there. Then, In-ha rushed over and begged Taeho to have lunch with him. While they were eating together, Hye-won passed by. He couldn't help but keep looking at her. Seeing that, In-ha immediately assumed that Taeho liked her because he had never looked at anyone with that kind of gaze. But Taeho denied it and stood up to leave. In-ha said that if Taeho didn't like Hye-won, In-ha would pursue her. Taeho heard but still acted indifferent and left. In-ha continued to look at Hye-won and found her very cute. That night, Taeho went to Kanggo's mansion to tutor. At this time, Miss Kang Huiju stepped out and introduced herself to the handsome tutor. Seeing Taeho acting cold towards her, Huiju became even more interested. So after that, Huiju continuously asked questions to investigate his personal interests. While Taeho continued to lecture, Huiju looked at him with affection. After that, Huiju continued to try to attract Taeho's attention, but Taeho was still unmoved. When Huiju complimented him on his handsomeness, Taeho stopped. He said that the little girl could not defeat his patience. After the lesson, Department Head Moon gave Taeho a month's salary in advance. He also asked him to sign a confidentiality contract for the young lady. When Taeho walked out, he saw In-ha sitting in the car waiting for him. To In-ha, Huiju was very different from the people in that house. Sometimes he felt like she was his own younger sister. A moment later, In-ha asked Taeho about Hye-won. In-ha said that he was really interested in her. Then he asked Taeho to find out where her house was, where she worked part-time, and what she liked the most. Taeho was very surprised to hear that, but he just smiled slightly and left. Taeho returned home and saw a woman knocking on Hye-won's door. She kept shouting loudly, demanding to open the door. Then she broke the glass door. Hye-won angrily went out, but her mother snatched her wallet. She also told him that she had worked hard to give birth to and raise Hye-won. Thanks to that, she was able to study at the best university in the country, like now. Hye-won glanced over and saw Taeho. He pretended not to know anything and walked into the house. Hearing the mother asking for money from her daughter, Taeho couldn't help but feel very upset. A moment later, he opened the door and walked out to see Hye-won sadly walking alone on the street. At this time, it started to rain again. Suddenly, Taeho came over with an umbrella to shield Hye-won, but she questioned him, saying that he had always acted as if they were strangers. Taeho immediately asked her to have a beer with him since they were both neighbors and classmates. Later, when they were standing in front of a convenience store, Hye-won said that Taeho seemed upset that he had to pretend not to know anything after seeing everything. Taeho just said that he always lived like that. The next day, at Kanggo Group, Section Chief Chu was reporting to Chairman Kang the schedule of his two sons, Sung-ju and In-ju. Then, Section Chief Chu saw the plan for establishing a future strategy office on the table. He immediately asked Chairman Kang if he would hand over the strategy office to one of the two. Chairman Kang said that he had not yet decided who to choose. Director Jong was also planning to let her son Sung-ju inherit the future strategy office. She met with In-ha and asked him to sign a document renouncing the inheritance of shares. If In-ha In-ha signed, she promised that his financial support would not be cut off. But in fact, Taiho had predicted that Director Zhang would meet In-ha to get rid of this illegitimate child, and the two boys had already drawn up a plan to deal with her. Now, In-ha also decided to sign this commitment because everything had been calculated. When Taiho walked out of the tutoring center, In-ha announced that he had already signed. After that, In-ha drove Taiho home to have a meal together. Realizing that there was no alcohol left, In-ha went to the convenience store to buy more. When he had collected a bag of alcohol, In-ha saw Haiwan entering the store. Unexpectedly, In-ha stopped her from buying beer, saying that he had already bought a lot. Then, In-ha took Haiwan to Taiho's house. After that, he invited everyone to come to his house because it was spacious and comfortable. Haiwan agreed when she heard that. Taiho said he had to go inside and clean up a bit before leaving. Haiwan used the excuse that she wanted to go to the restroom to enter the house. When Taiho saw Haiwan coming in, he quickly put away his underwear. Haiwan laughed and teased him. "Are you shy?" And she just used the excuse of going to the bathroom to tell him something. She didn't follow In-ha here because of Taiho. Haiwan didn't forget to say that Taiho was a bit cute today. Taiho didn't know what was cute about himself when he heard the compliment. After that, they went to In-ha's house to drink and chat. In-ha sat next to Haiwan and asked her if she wanted to be his girlfriend. After that, he asked Taiho to introduce In-ha to her. Taiho said that In-ha had a lot of things, but also lost a lot of things. But he was so rich that it didn't matter if he lost anything. After listening, Haiwan said that she was very busy working to earn money, so she didn't have any relationships. If In-ha continued to pursue her, she would feel uncomfortable. Haiwan looked in Taiho's direction and saw that he didn't show any emotions when In-ha confessed to her. Taiho didn't dare to look straight at Haiwan either. Through the glass, he could only see that she was very happy. After that, In-ha said that he would take Haiwan home, but Taiho stopped him because he thought In-ha had drunk too much. While sitting on the bus, Haiwan texted Taiho to go out drinking alone with her. At a very high place, they each held a can of beer in their hands and watched the night sky together. Haiwan thought that Taiho was with In-ha to find an opportunity to rise up. She said that maybe she had the same purpose as Taiho. Then she asked if Taiho would help her if she asked for help. After thinking for a while, Taiho said absolutely not, but he would not hinder Haiwan. Taiho stood up to leave, but Haiwan affirmed that he would help her anyway. At this time, In-ha was wondering why Taiho did not tell him that Haiwan was his neighbor. Meanwhile, Taiho passed by the convenience store where he had sat and talked to Haiwan and suddenly felt regretful. The next day, while the Kongo family was having dinner together, Huiju suggested inviting In-ha to dinner this Saturday night. The eldest brother Inju immediately objected because In-ha was not allowed to set foot in this house. Her mother also did not agree with her daughter's idea. However, Chairman Kang asked Department Head Moon to find out if In-ha had any other schedules this Saturday. Director Zhang strongly objected to allowing In-ha to come to this house for dinner. The husband immediately told that In-ha had followed her request to give up the inheritance, and she should not think that he did not know anything. Everything related to the Kongo group had to be decided by him. After saying that, Chairman Kang called In-ha immediately. Director Zhang felt very angry and immediately went outside. Chairman Kang asked In-ha to come to the mansion for dinner this Saturday night. The illegitimate son was extremely surprised when he heard this. Taiho was quite surprised when he heard In-ha's story because he didn't think that Chairman Kang would act faster than he thought. Director Zhang threw the commitment paper to give up In-ha's inheritance in front of Chairman Kang and left angrily. Taiho told In-ha that Chairman Kang was a cold and heartless person. Perhaps he also intended to eliminate In-ha's inheritance. He was being friendly to him just to punish his wife for taking away his decision-making power. His kindness to him wouldn't last long, and In-ha had to show his father that he was innocent but not gentle, someone who knew his place but could climb to any position, and he wouldn't be greedy in the future. He had to let Chairman Kang feel that kind of person from him. Taiho also encouraged In-ha that it wouldn't be easy, but he believed In-ha can do it. Chairman Kang gave the commitment to give up the inheritance to Section Chief Chu. Then he asked if there was anything else related to Kongo Group that he didn't know. Chairman Kang also reminded Section Chief Chu not to betray his trust. Chairman Kang wanted to sign a contract with Minton Law Firm to be the new legal advisor. He would buy that Minton company, and Minton would be a great weapon to help Kongo grow stronger. Currently, this is a secret that only Chairman Kang and Section Chief Chu know. If it were to be revealed to the outside, it would definitely be from Section Chief Chu. The chairman also promised to hand over Minton to Section Chief Chu, who had been with him for 19 years. Section Chief Chu nodded and thanked the chairman endlessly when he heard it. After that, Chairman Kang instructed Section Chief Chu to hold on to the written pledge renouncing the inheritance rights, as it might be needed someday. At this time, Songju went to the university to meet Professor Choi. He read the Co-Prosperity Center plan that student Taiho had drafted with a face full of interest. The professor said that this would be the strongest weapon to to help him become the owner of Congo. Songju asked Professor Choi to submit his resignation. He promised to make the professor the director to build this co-prosperity center together. Meanwhile, Huiju sat drawing a picture of her tutor at a restaurant. A moment later, In-ha walked in and greeted his younger sister, whom he hadn't seen in a long time. Then he asked Huiju if she wasn't afraid of being punished by her mother for skipping school like this. Huiju said that she had bribed the teacher. At that time, the restaurant staff entered. In-ha was very surprised when it turned out to be Haiwan. After Huiju knew that this female staff member was her brother's friend, she immediately asked her if she knew Taiho. Then Huiju said that she didn't like having women around her man. After saying that, Huiju smiled and said that she was just joking. Haiwan immediately replied that she didn't like having women around her man either. After hearing that, Huiju started to feel uncomfortable. After they ordered, Haiwan left and Huiju looked at her with an unfriendly gaze. After seeing Huiju off, In-ha returned to the restaurant. He wanted to apologize to Haiwan for his sister's attitude. He also offered to take Haiwan home after work, but Haiwan said that she had said she was very busy and didn't have time to date. The next day, In-ha went to the Congo mansion, and the eldest son came out and said that there was a bad smell somewhere. Huiju then appeared and asked In-ha not to pay attention to what he had said. When the eldest brother pointed at Huiju's face, she bit his hand. In-ju was so angry that he ordered Department Head Moon to chase In-ha away immediately. Director Zhang appeared and thought that In-ha had caused chaos in their family. She also reminded him that he should know his place and not come to the mansion anymore. Afterwards, Section Chief Moon informed Chairman Kang that In-ha had left as soon as he heard Director Zhang say that. Taiho took a taxi to a beach to find In-ha. In-ha expressed his sadness that he was still being looked down upon when entering the mansion. Taiho said that he now knew what to do. In-ha would have to endure a lot of humiliation in the future, but Taiho would help him become the official son of the Kango family. As expected, Songju and Professor Choi met, so the Co-Prosperity Center was definitely going to be established. Finally, Taiho and In-ha's plan began. In the evening, while the whole family was having dinner, Huiju was angry because no one cared about In-ha leaving. Then, she argued loudly with her eldest brother. Chairman Kang immediately spoke up to stop her, but Huiju continued to stand up and scold the people in the house and left. At this time, Chairman Kang turned to question his eldest son for insulting him in this very house. He was the one who invited In-ha, but In-ju chased him away. He also warned that there would be appropriate punishment because In-ju dared to insult him. Director Zhang followed and slapped Huiju. She said that Huiju was 17 years old and an adult. She would no longer forgive her daughter's childish behavior. The mother also asked her daughter to behave in accordance with what she had received, but she did not forget to remind her that the maid would bring her a bag of ice. Director Zhang then went to see Department Head Moon to ask if anything strange had happened to Huiju recently. Department Head Moon said that the young lady's new math tutor was a friend of young Master In-ha because young Master told him that a friend in difficult circumstances was looking for a job. At this time, the maid ran in to report that the young lady was nowhere to be seen. Right now, Huiju was walking down the street and kept refusing her mother's calls. She felt scared being alone in the deserted place, so she immediately pressed the phone to call Taiho and said that she had run away from home. Huiju jogged on a sports field and then lay down on the ground because she was so tired. Then she was very happy when Taiho arrived. However, Taiho asked Huiju to go home immediately. At this time, Haiwan also arrived. Huiju immediately asserted her sovereignty and introduced Taiho as her math tutor. If Haiwan needed someone to be her friend, In-ha alone would be enough. After saying that, she went to hold Taiho's arm. At this time, In-ha also drove up, but Huiju did not want to get in the car. After that, Huiju asked Taiho to come with her, otherwise she would not go anywhere. In-ha also begged Taiho to get in the car. Haiwan also spoke up to ask for a ride home. Then she introduced herself to Huiju as Taiho's neighbor. When she got home, Huiju was even more surprised to see Taiho and Haiwan's houses so close to each other. She was worried that they might see each other every night. When everyone went home, In-ha immediately reminded his sister that she was not allowed to have a relationship with Taiho. Huiju only asked if her brother liked Haiwan. She hoped that Haiwan would like her brother as soon as possible. After that, Huiju became uneasy about the short distance between Taiho's house and Haiwan's. Taiho walked out of the house and saw Haiwan standing there looking at a couple. At this time, he received a text message from Department Head Moon informing him that his tutoring contract had been terminated. The next morning, Huiju rushed out after discovering that her math tutor had been changed, but the young lady was stopped by the enthusiastic maid. Huiju had to announce that she would go to school today as an excuse to go out. Huiju sat sadly in the car and ordered the driver to stop the car. After that, she immediately took a taxi to leave despite the weak resistance of the driver. Huiju went straight to the university to talk to Taiho. At this time, Haiwan also passed by and saw. Taiho coldly took out his phone and called Department Head Moon. He told the other party to send him the account number and he would transfer back the advance payment for tutoring floundering. After that, he told Huiju that he was the employee and she was the owner. The contract ended, so did they. Once again, Taeho affirmed that Huiju could not overcome his patience. Huiju angrily said that she had forgotten the relationship between the two of them as employer and employee. She also sarcastically told Taeho to continue working hard to maintain the boundary he had set. After saying that, Huiju coldly called the driver to pick her up. Unexpectedly, the girl cried so much in the car that the driver didn't know what to say. When Taeho arrived at the school library, Haewon appeared there. She asked him why he was treating Huiju so coldly. She also reminded him to consider Huiju as one of his means, but Taeho said that he didn't need her advice. After saying that, he turned around and walked away. After that, Haewon also left, but it turned out that In-ha, who was standing in the corner, had heard everything. He wondered what Haewon meant by that. Haewon's mother was now working part-time at a casino. She was very eager to have a lot of money so that she could gamble with everyone there. Then she wondered if she should go find her daughter and ask for some more money. At this moment, she accidentally saw many boxes of money being transported inside. After the leader left the room, she appeared nearby. Then she secretly opened the door and entered the leader's room. After taking a thick stack of money, she hurriedly ran away. The next day, Haewon had just finished school at the lecture hall when the leader led his subordinates to block her way. He asked Haewon to return the 50 million that her mother had stolen from him. Unexpectedly, Haewon immediately said that she didn't have a mother. They should find that woman to ask for it or go to the police station to sue. When Haewon stepped out, the leader immediately ordered two subordinates to chase after her. After that, the two subordinates started blocking Haewon's way. The leader immediately slapped her, but Haewon immediately responded to him. The angry leader was about to attack her when Taeho appeared in time to stop him. Luckily, the university security also came. The leader could only threaten to go to Haewon's house and then leave with his subordinates. Taeho pulled Haewon's hand and walked into the lecture hall. He asked her if there was anywhere to avoid those people. Haewon said that she had experienced this many times before, but she had never chosen to run away because that would be like admitting that that woman was her family. She had done nothing wrong, so she had nothing to fear. In-ha was playing basketball when a friend ran up to him and told him about Haewon. At this time, Haewon also received a call from In-ha, but she deliberately did not pick up the phone. Taeho was on his way home, still worried about Haewon, so he decided to go back to school to find her. In-ha was also rushing to look for Haewon everywhere. He then found her in the lecture hall. In-ha hugged Haewon and said that he was very worried about her. After saying that, In-ha suddenly placed a kiss on Haewon's lips. Taeho appeared and saw the two kissing. Haewon also looked in Taeho's direction. Taeho was extremely surprised but then retreated so as not to disturb them. Haewon did not resist the young master's hug. Taeho took the bus home in a rather shocked mood. When he got off the bus, he immediately ran home. Then, he saw Haewon carrying a bag of luggage. She announced that she would temporarily stay at In-ha's house for a while. Taeho immediately grabbed Haewon's hand and pulled her back, telling her not to go. But when she saw Taeho hesitating for a long time, Haewon immediately expressed her opinion. She told him that if he kept going like this, they would never have a good ending. She also asked him back, didn't he also want a new life? If they hesitated, nothing would change. After saying that, Haewon also walked away, leaving Taeho helpless. After that, Taeho went home and thought about what Haewon had just said to him. Unexpectedly, Haewon knocked on the door outside. At this moment, In-ha also called. Taeho was about to hang up but then decided to press the button to answer the phone. Outside, after waiting for a while, Haewon also left disappointedly. 5 years passed quickly. The Co-Prosperity Center had also been established and was celebrating its 5th anniversary. Young Master In-ha was adjusting his clothes to line up with the other employees in this center. Then Chairman Kang also arrived with his second son Sungju and eldest son In-ju. Professor Choi also appeared and went inside. In-ha also bowed to welcome the chairman, but the father did not even look at his illegitimate son once. The professor introduced Taeho as the employee who had written the speech for that day. Taeho also introduced himself as working in the Global Leadership Training Group. His name was Han Taeho. Then Chairman Kang asked to speak privately with the male employee Taeho. The chairman suddenly announced that he was firing Taeho. He affirmed that in the past 5 years, it was not Taeho who had helped raise the center to a value of 30 trillion, but his own people. Taeho then said that he could go wherever he was needed and create another Congo. Chairman Kang then mentioned Taeho's criminal father to provoke him. When he saw that this employee showed signs of anger, the chairman immediately lectured him. To work with him, Taeho absolutely must not let the other party know that he was angry, even for a short moment. He needed to learn how to hide his true self from then on, and he needed someone with a strong spirit by his side. After that, Chairman Kang also gave a speech to all the employees of the Co-Prosperity Center with the essay that Taeho had drafted. When all the delegations had left, Taeho told In-ha that Director Choi would soon be removed from this center because he had lost his usefulness. Sungju had planned to use the Co-Prosperity Prosperity Center as a weapon to take over Congo Group. Then Taeho went in to greet Chairman Kang, and from that moment on, he also became Chairman Kang's personal secretary. 5 more years passed. That day, Chairman Kang was swimming when he suddenly fainted. All the family members rushed to the hospital, but when they arrived, they saw the chairman calmly enjoying a delicious steak. Director Jang and Inju were very upset about Taeho's presence there. Then everyone went home and expressed their unease because Chairman Kang had constantly praised Taeho over the past 5 years. At that time, Taeho entered the hospital room to meet Chairman Kang. He announced that Congressman Kim had promised to be elected as the chairman had wished. The chairman said that after Congressman Kim became the leader of the party, the Royal Road project would begin. A year earlier, Chairman Kang had planned to build a large city on a beach and turn it into a country within Korea. Chairman Kang then announced that the land for the Royal Road had already been purchased. Now, they just needed to start construction. In-ha was working as a manager for an IT company, a small subsidiary under the Congo Group. Hai-won was working for the Hanmi Party, in charge of political campaigning. Song-ju went shooting for fun with Congressman Lee to establish political connections with him. He didn't know that the camera system at the shooting club had been hacked by a young hacker and that all the data had been downloaded. These images were immediately sent to Taeho. He told In-ha and Hai-won that in 5 days, Congressman Lee would be elected to the Hanmi Party and that Song-ju would rely on him to attack Royal Road. As expected, at the Hanmi Party conference, Congressman Lee was also elected as the leader of the party. Hai-won was also a member of this congressman's campaign team. Chairman Kang was very angry when the winner was not Congressman Kim but Congressman Lee, so he had a heart attack and had to take medicine. Chairman Kang ordered Taeho to investigate who was behind the political position of Congressman Lee. At this time, Director Jang and her son were also raising their glasses to celebrate the election of the political force they supported. Taeho met Hai-won privately and asked her if she had considered marrying In-ha. When Hai-won said she was not ready, Taeho immediately changed the topic of conversation to work. He said that Chairman Kang had already bought the land to build the Royal Road. If it was successful, it would be fine, but if it failed, he would be charged with breach of trust and corruption. Taeho asked Hai-won to provide him with more internal information about the Hanmi Party related to Song-ju within 2 days. The next day, Hai-won went to the Hanmi Party to work and tried to approach Chief Park. He was also the one who helped Congressman Lee a lot in this election campaign. Chief Park invited Hai-won to join the celebration party with other assistants after work, but she refused because she had an appointment. Meanwhile, the young lady Hui-ju was very angry when her sister-in-law announced that her mother had arranged a marriage for her with the young master Ko Hae-chan. She immediately drove to see her biological mother. At this time, Director Jang announced that she would prepare an engagement ceremony for her daughter right away. Hui-ju immediately said that her mother did not know what terrible things Ko Hae-chan had done in America. According to what Hui-ju knew, he only knew how to play around. Hui-ju also did not like a forced marriage. She did not want to live a miserable life like her mother. If her mother forced her again, she would have to see her leave this world. Hui-ju also affirmed that she did not say anything before leaving. After going out, Hui-ju immediately wanted to call the staff to find out about her fiancé. While scrolling through her phone contacts, Hui-ju accidentally saw the name Taeho, but she only looked at it and did not press the call button. As for Hai-won, she had an appointment to go to a restaurant tonight. In a VIP room in the restaurant, Department Head Go was also trying to persuade the party assistants to join Song-ju's side, because sooner or later, Chairman Kang would be overthrown. And under this table, there was a listening device installed, so Hai-won could clearly hear this conversation. Then she gave the restaurant staff a stack of money as payment. Then she texted Taeho to come to In-ha's house immediately. Hai-won announced that Song-ju would put Congressman Lee in the position of controlling the National Assembly. After sabotaging the Royal Road project, they would accuse Chairman Kang of corruption. After overthrowing Chairman Kang, the Co-Prosperity Center would be separated from Congo Group and become a joint stock company. At that time, Song-ju would plan to steal the core of Congo to establish a new empire. They should convince Chairman Kang to separate the center from Congo first. Taeho said that Chairman Kang would not abandon the center. Congressman Lee would be the bait to provoke Chairman Kang into removing Song-ju. Taeho also affirmed that Song-ju and Congressman Lee would not get anything they wanted. Then he went to see Guanji and saw the picture of Director Kang and his son secretly meeting with Director Chu, along with the documents of the charity organization. Guanji said that this was an African refugee relief organization run by Director Jang's foundation, but in fact, it was just an organization to legalize illegal money. A few days earlier, Director Jang had arranged to meet Director Chu at the shooting club. Then Song-ju appeared and started to lure Director Chu to his side to take down Chairman Kang. Song-ju asked Director Chu to provide him with documents about the establishment of Minton Law Firm 15 years earlier. He wanted to collect evidence evidence of his father's corruption. When Director Chu turned away, Song-ju promised to let him lead his own global law firm. At that time, he would be the boss and would not have to listen to anyone anymore. That night, while Song-ju was sleeping, his phone was automatically turned on. It turned out that it had been accessed and controlled by Guan-ji. The next morning, Director Chu also texted Song-ju, agreeing to cooperate. He asked Song-ju to keep his promise to him, but Song-ju whispered that he had promised, not that he would keep his promise. Guan-ji heard these words and sent a message to Tae-ho. After a while, Song-ju plugged his phone into the computer. Guan-ji also started downloading the secret documents that he was storing. The next day, a shipper delivered a USB drive that Director Chu sent to Song-ju. It contained all the documents proving that Chairman Kang had bribed politicians to be able to buy back the Minton law firm. Guan-ji was very surprised when she saw it. Director Zhang made an appointment to meet the director of Congo Hospital, where Chairman Kang was being treated. She wanted to ask about Chairman Kang's real health condition. When the director refused to reveal it, Director Zhang threatened to reveal what he was doing. It turned out that he had appointed his son, who had been in a drug rehabilitation center, as the head of the surgery department at Congo Hospital. Tae-ho reported to Chairman Kang that a villa had been purchased in Spain under the name of Congressman Lee's daughter. A Swiss bank account in the name of Congressman Lee's daughter also received $1 million from an African refugee relief organization called See Africa. Chairman Kang realized that this was an organization to legitimize the money that Director Zhang's art fund had set up. Tae-ho also announced that Song-ju would use the Co-Prosperity Center to overthrow Congo Group. He continued to say that the Minton law firm could become Chairman Kang's biggest weakness. Vice Chairman Song-ju had already known about that weakness. Tae-ho showed Chairman Kang a picture showing Song-ju secretly meeting with Director Chu. Chairman Kang was very angry that he had been betrayed by Director Chu. He immediately asked Tae-ho to call Director Chu. Tae-ho followed the order and called Director Chu to come to the company immediately. As soon as Haiwan stepped out of work, In-ha drove a supercar and asked her to go to the beach with him. Then the two of them lay down in front of a large screen showing images of the beach. In-ha suddenly proposed to Haiwan to marry him. Haiwan also smiled and agreed, and said that the day he asked her to proudly step into the mansion was approaching. Then she held In-ha's hand tightly. Chairman Kang summoned Director Chu and all the key personnel of Congo and asked them to establish a new decentralization for the Co-Prosperity Center. Tae-ho asked everyone to hand over their phones to avoid revealing this secret information. Director Chu was afraid and did not dare to say anything. Then, while everyone was diligently studying the center's organizational chart, Director Chu hid in the restroom. He knew that Chairman Kang had taken drastic action to overthrow Song-ju. He was confused about how to inform Song-ju of this information. When he opened the door and stepped out, he saw Tae-ho standing there. Tae-ho handed over the phone so that Director Chu could take care of his needs, but he said that he could not break the rules. Director Chu returned to his work position. He looked very worried when Tae-ho reported something to Chairman Kang. Song-ju ran to inform Director Zhang that his father was trying to take back the Co-Prosperity Center. Director Chu just called him to tell him the news. When the mother heard it, she decided to use the last resort she had prepared to gain control of Congo. Chairman Kang entered the Congo Group's board meeting and began to praise Song-ju's great contributions. Then he announced that he would hand over Congo's stocks to Song-ju. The eldest son was very pleased to hear it. Chairman Kang continued to announce that the Co-Prosperity Center would be reorganized and under his control. He promised not to destroy what Vice Chairman Song-ju had created. Director Choi would return as the director of the Co-Prosperity Center. The day before, Tae-ho had secretly gone to see Director Choi. He had been abandoned by Song-ju. Tae-ho promised that he would bring Director Choi back, but now he had to be the one to oppose Song-ju. Song-ju returned to his room in a furious mood. He was neutralized by his father by assigning his son to another subsidiary company. The next day, many prosecutors came to search Congo Group under the direction of Prosecutor Ha. Before that, the chief prosecutor had told Prosecutor Ha that he received an anonymous email. The content was about a bomb that could kill Congo Group's Chairman Kang. All the prosecutors rushed into the company and collected all the company's documents. Director Zhang took out an important USB and went to see her husband and asked him to return the Co-Prosperity Center to her son. She showed him the USB and said it contained evidence that Chairman Kang had taken over Minton law firm, including all the illegal actions he had taken to get to his current position. She would destroy the dream he was longing to build. Chairman Kang had a heart attack and went out, but his wife continued to threaten him that she would do anything for her son. She then put the USB on the table and said it was just a copy. At this time, she received a phone call informing her that the prosecutor was coming to Congo to search. She immediately told her husband that she intended to do it to bring him down, but unexpectedly, someone else had already done it for her. Chairman Kang insisted that he would fight back, but he had a heart attack attack that made him stagger. Chairman Kong took the medicine box to take, but dropped it on the ground. His wife went to pick it up for her husband, but she decided to stop. A while after Chairman Kong collapsed on the ground, Taeho entered. He took the medicine bottle and called the ambulance. At this time, Prosecutor Ha was enthusiastically instructing his subordinates to collect the documents. Suddenly, there was a phone call from the chief prosecutor asking to stop the search immediately. Therefore, Prosecutor Ha had to order his subordinates to retreat. He also turned to his colleagues and told them that Chairman Kang was a very lucky person. Chairman Kang was unconscious. Prosecutor Ha was very angry that Chairman Kang had fainted at this time. Inju ran to the hospital room and asked what Director Zhang had done to his father. He knew that she had been with him before he passed out, but the stepmother asked everyone to keep quiet so that her husband could rest, and she insisted that he had been fine when she left. She had only recently known that Chairman Kang could go into cardiac arrest at any moment. When Inju said that he knew about Director Zhang and her son's plot, Director Zhang pretended to be shocked and could not stand. As the two sons continued to argue, Taeho stepped in and asked everyone to leave so that Chairman Kang could rest. Director Zhang also set an example and left first. Huiju glanced at Taeho before following her mother. Inju asked Taeho to stop being so arrogant before leaving with his wife. Outside, Huiju said that she had something to do and could not go with her mother. Director Zhang asked her daughter not to be late for the meeting with Chairman Go's family because they would discuss the details of Huiju's wedding with Chairman Go's son. When mother and brother were already in the car, Huiju called to ask for information about her fiancé Ko Hee-chan. In the car, Songju wondered who else had known about her father's secret and would even report it to the prosecutor's office, but his mother told them not to look for that person. She reminded her son to be thankful that someone else had done the job for them. They needed to hold an emergency meeting with important executives of Congo Group. At the hospital, Taeho stayed to take care of Chairman Kang. Suddenly, he received a text message from In-ha asking him to come out to talk. Taeho informed that Chairman Kang was still in a coma, but In-ha didn't care much. He was worried that the plan that Taeho promised to help him would fail, but Taeho advised In-ha not to be shaken or their plan would fail. Taeho also reminded In-ha to believe in him. In-ha also listened and walked away. At this time, Taeho received a phone call from Inju's secretary asking for a meeting. Then Inju took Taeho to a luxury apartment and promised that if Taeho wanted, this place would be his. Inju claimed that he knew everything about Taeho's past and wanted to use this apartment to pull Taeho to his side. However, Taeho said that if Inju wanted to pull Taeho to his side, he should bring something bigger than this house. If Taeho had everything that Inju had, then he could become Inju's man. If not, he asked to leave. When Taeho left, Inju immediately called his secretary to come there immediately. Taeho was about to enter the elevator when he saw Mo Gi-jun walking in with a baseball bat. Then Inju repeatedly hit his secretary with the baseball bat. Then he asked the secretary to carefully monitor Taeho from tomorrow on. Taeho went into the hospital room to see Chairman Kang and found him to be very healthy and alert. Chairman Kang immediately asked Taeho if he could trust Taeho. If this plan failed, he would expose all of Taeho's weaknesses, but if the plan succeeded, he could give Taeho anything he wanted. Before that, when Chairman Kang knew that Songju had lured Director Chu, he immediately ordered Taeho to call Songju. However, Taeho said that the chairman could demote him or cut Taeho's salary, but was the chairman sure that Taeho would not oppose him anymore? They needed to end it with a single strike. Taeho would file a complaint against Chairman Kang to the prosecutor's office and present the illegal connection between Minton Law Firm and the chairman. If he did that, Songju would never be able to report Chairman Kang again. Taeho had his eyes on Prosecutor Ha. He was a former police officer and had no one to support him. He needed power and money. Chairman Kang just needed to stay quiet and continue running Minton as usual. Taeho explained that this plan would be great for the Royal Road project. If he succeeded, then whenever he faced a crisis, Chairman Kang would just need to step in and help him. That would be enough. The last piece in the plan this time was In-ha. Only he was willing to become a devil for Chairman Kang. He needed someone of his own blood to do what his other two sons couldn't do. He could consider In-ha a card that can be discarded when he's done. After all, In-ha was just a redundant person to the chairman. Chairman Kang said that as long as In-ha didn't have the ambition to take over Congo, he ordered Taeho to prepare a contract that clearly stated what In-ha could and couldn't do. The next day, Songju led his delegation and Director Choi into the company. Taeho realized that Director Choi had betrayed him and had changed his master once more time. He looked at Taeho and smiled sarcastically. Taeho just whispered to himself that Director Choi shouldn't smile like that because he was just being used. At this time, Taeho received a call from Hai-won informing him that In-ha was missing. Taeho went to In-ha's house and saw the projector showing the image of the beach. He informed Hai-won that he would bring In-ha back and she should stay here. Taeho went to the beach that he and In-ha often went to and saw him there. Taeho now also told In-ha the truth that the chairman was fine. In-ha immediately hit Taeho and blamed Taeho for not telling him from the beginning and looking down on him. Taeho said that he couldn't be reckless because if things didn't go according to plan, In-ha would have to start over. Taeho added that making In-ha the chairman of Congo was the reason for his existence. Chairman Kang wanted to meet In-ha. The third son of Congo Group was about to take action. Huiju went to a bar to find her arranged fiancé. She bluntly asked the two girls to stay away so she could talk to the young master alone. Kohei-chan also ordered the two girls to leave. Huiju declared that she would not marry him because she did not like him, so he should not dream of marrying her. He would convince his family himself, and she would handle her family herself. When Huiju left, the young master was very interested. He immediately called his mother and asked to officially date Huiju right away. Taeho had been driving in the underground parking lot when he was suddenly stopped by Huiju. When Taeho got out of the car, Huiju said that it was the only way to stop his coldness toward her. Taeho immediately asked Huiju to go home. After saying that, he backed the car into the parking lot and walked past her coldly. Huiju then took her shoe and hit his car repeatedly. Taeho immediately stepped forward to stop her and put the shoe on Huiju's foot. After that, he continued to ask her to go home, but Huiju declared that she would tell her parents that she would marry him. Her parents could not do anything about her stubbornness. Taeho immediately said that if he got married, he would have to endure being seen as a coward because he had dreamed of becoming the husband of a rich young lady. When Huiju said that she would protect him, Taeho said that instead of protecting him, she should protect herself to survive in the Kang family. That was not a fairy tale, and there would be no happily ever after. He told her not to drag him into her fairy tale. Huiju immediately told him to wait and see if she could marry him. Taeho affirmed that he would not change his mind and coldly walked away. As for Huiju, tears began to fall. Director Zhang entered an emergency meeting with all the important executive members of Congo Group. Director Zhang said that during the time Chairman Kang was away, she had the duty to take on the role of chairman of the group. However, since she was still lacking in this position, she had decided to hand it over to someone more capable than herself. She then nominated Seongju, the director of Congo Securities, to take on the position. Seongju also stood up to greet and received applause from the board. At that time, Guanji also took action. He broke into Congo's stock exchange and then started paying dividends to each shareholder of 1,000 shares. The incident quickly caused a stir among the employees at the stock exchange, and a total of more than 5 million shares had been issued. Director Jiang went to see Chairman Kang, who was lying on the bed with her eyes closed. She promised that their son, Seongju, would manage Congo well. At that time, Seongju also received a phone call informing him of the bad news at the stock exchange. This rare incident was also reported on the news. It was an unprecedented event at Congo stock when each shareholder simultaneously received 1,000 shares, which caused Congo stock to continuously fall in the market. The department head reported to Seongju that it had all been a technical error. At that moment, the department head received a phone call informing him that prosecutor was coming. Seongju then received a summons from the prosecutor for violating the law on excessive stock issuance. In-ha met Chairman Kang and agreed to join him. The condition was that the chairman acknowledged him as a member of the Kang family and a son of the chairman of Congo Group. He wanted to make sure that everyone knew about it, which meant Chairman Kang had to announce it to the world himself. Chairman Kang then showed In-ha the contract and asked him to read it and sign it. In-ha asked what would happen if he didn't sign it. When he heard this, Chairman Kang said that they wouldn't see each other again. So, In-ha agreed to sign the contract. Seongju walked out of the prosecutor's office, surrounded by the press. Director Zhang was furious, but could only vent his anger on the flowers. Suddenly the strong chairman appeared. Director Zhang now realized that it was all her husband's plan to deceive everyone. She immediately attacked her husband, but Chairman Kang stopped her and declared that she could not take anything from him. He then pushed his wife to the ground and told her to wait for his punishment. He also told her to tell her son that they would meet again at the board meeting. Director Zhang was now extremely scared. Chairman Kang asked Department Head Moon to prepare a party to welcome a guest. He asked everyone to be present. In-ha also went to Kango's mansion that night. The chairman asked his third son to sit down and eat with everyone. As soon as In-ha sat down, Director Zhang stood up and went inside. Only Huiju welcomed In-ha at the house. Then the party began. The next day, many reporters were waiting at the prosecutor's office. Taeho got out of the car first and opened the trunk. The third son In-ha helped his healthy father out and onto the wheelchair. He then pushed the chairman inside like a patient who had just been discharged from the hospital. In-ha immediately asked if his father was ready. Hearing this, the reporters were very surprised and kept asking if the chairman had an illegitimate child. Prosecutor Ha walked in to see Chairman Kang and started questioning him, but In-ha immediately stopped him and told him not to question him anymore. The lawyer showed him the USB and said that chairman had admitted all the charges. Before that, Taeho had given given the USB to the lawyer and asked him to just give it to Prosecutor Ha and everything would be settled. Prosecutor Ha plugged the USB into his computer and thought he was being bribed openly, but In Ha asked the prosecutor to look at the content inside. Prosecutor Ha continued to look and saw a pile of folders containing evidence of bribery at the prosecutor's office and a photo denouncing the bribery of the director at this prosecutor's office. The chief prosecutor immediately went to see the director at prosecutor's office to report the incident. The incident quickly spread to the directors at neighboring prosecutors' offices. A moment later, Prosecutor Ha received a call from the director asking him to release Chairman Kang immediately. After that, In Ha pushed Chairman Kang away while surrounded by reporters. Tae-ho brought Chairman Kang in and met Director Chu. He immediately knelt down on the ground and begged Chairman Kang to forgive him. Then the news about the third son of Kango Group was all over the newspapers. Meanwhile, Prosecutor Ha was packing up to leave the prosecutor's office because the chief prosecutor had asked Prosecutor Ha to accept a temporary demotion. When the time was right, he would reinstate Prosecutor Ha. Prosecutor Ha was furious that he had become a scapegoat for the big shots. Many employees at Kango began to discuss that Tae-ho would be promoted to the director of the department and In Ha would become the head of the department. Tae-ho ran into Director Choi in the elevator. Director Choi congratulated Tae-ho on his promotion. He expressed confusion about his current position, but Tae-ho informed Director Choi that he could continue to sit in his current position. But Director Choi declared that he would not be grateful to Tae-ho for that. At this time, In-ju continued to vent his anger at his personal secretary. He could not accept that Tae-ho was promoted to the position of director of the Future Strategy Office. It was an important department of the Kango Group. Song-ju ran home to find his mother, but was informed by Department Head Moon that the madam had moved to the villa. When Song-ju pressed the call button, Department Head Moon immediately stopped him. He asked him to let the madam rest for a while. Director Jong went to the Kang family's villa to avoid meeting her husband. Then Song-ju went and knelt before his father. Chairman Kang announced that he had cancelled Song-ju's dismissal from the director position at the board meeting. From now on, he should live quietly. Chairman Kang also threatened that if his son did anything similar in the future, there would be no place for him in Congo and the mansion. Song-ju, although not satisfied, still knelt down and accepted all of his father's teachings. Tae-ho went to Gwanji and asked him to stop working for a while because Song-ju was going crazy and would most likely hunt Gwanji down. But Gwanji was confident that he was once a top spy trained by North Korea. He also controlled banks all over the world. Even if Song-ju caught him, Song-ju would not be able to find any connection with Tae-ho. Gwanji added that if Tae-ho were to get arrested, he should make sure not to drag Gwanji into it. Haiwan was about to leave work when In-ha texted her to go to the beach together. Later, while the two were enjoying the sea breeze, In-ha put an engagement ring on Haiwan's hand. He showed off a similar ring that was on his ring finger. In-ha put the ring on Haiwan's hand, and she also told them to get married as a sign of agreement. Then the two happily hugged each other. While Tae-ho was at home, he received a text message from In-ha informing him that he was going to marry Haiwan, and Tae-ho was the first person he informed. Tae-ho decided to call Haiwan, but she was busy watching the fireworks and enjoying the sweet moments with her fiancé. In-ju went to the sauna and was told by a friend that In-ha and Tae-ho used to be close friends in college. In-ju was very curious when she heard this information. The next day, Tae-ho met Haiwan at a place where they often met. When he saw Haiwan wearing an engagement ring on her hand, Tae-ho seemed quite sad, but then he also congratulated Haiwan. Now there was a paparazzi who was secretly taking pictures of these moments, and that was Mo Gi-jun. While driving back, Haiwan thought that if the person who appeared in the lecture hall back then was not In-ha but Tae-ho, then maybe she would have made a different choice. She intended to turn the car around, but in the end, still drove straight ahead. She decided to accept her current choice. The next day, when In-ha was playing basketball alone, Tae-ho also appeared, which surprised In-ha. Tae-ho immediately explained that because he couldn't get through to his phone, he knew right away that In-ha was there. But the two boys' game was no longer as fun and carefree as before. In-ha announced that Chairman Kang had just called, so he said goodbye to Tae-ho and left. At this time, a mysterious person was secretly following Tae-ho from afar. Then, when Tae-ho went to get his phone, the mysterious person hit him hard on the back. Tae-ho fell down and accidentally called Haiwan. She picked up the phone, but didn't hear what Tae-ho said. At this time, the mysterious person also hung up the phone and took some money from Tae-ho's wallet. He took the wallet and left, while Tae-ho tried to reach out to pick up the phone but couldn't. Suddenly, the memory of Tae-ho holding Haiwan a year ago appeared clearly. After that, Tae-ho also fainted. In-ha went to the mansion to meet his father and frankly stated that he wanted to marry someone. The chairman also agreed and raised a glass to celebrate his son's upcoming marriage. Haiwan ran to the emergency room to look for Tae-ho. She then found him with a bandage on his head. The nurse asked Haiwan to sign the consent form for surgery. Tae Taeho opened his eyes and held Haiwon's hand, telling her not to go. After that, Taeho fainted and was taken to the operating room immediately. On this side, In-ha kept receiving phone calls from Haiwon, but he decided not to answer because he didn't want to affect his conversation with his father. Chairman Kang brought out wine to chat with his newly recognized son. He told In-ha that if he wanted to continue being his son, he shouldn't try to do anything. In-ha just needed to follow his instructions. Then, he allowed In-ha to answer the phone. In-ha picked up the phone and knew about Taeho's situation. He then reported to the chairman that Taeho had been attacked by someone. At this time, Taeho's wallet was also thrown into the trash in a restroom. In-ha immediately called the legal advisor at Congo and told him to contact police to stop them from investigating Taeho's case, because if they investigated, it would affect the image of Congo Group. Then In-ha also went to the emergency room to see Haiwon. He hugged her and comforted her that Taeho would be fine. In-ha knew how lucky Taeho was. Huiju also left the house after hearing that Taeho was lying unconscious in the hospital. Then In-ju and Sung-ju started arguing, neither of them admitting to sending someone to kill Taeho. Haiwon was sitting next to Taeho's hospital bed when she saw his hand moving. Seeing that Taeho had also woken up, Haiwon was about to call the doctor, but Taeho immediately pulled Haiwon's hand back and moved his hand down to hold her hand tightly. Suddenly Huiju appeared and asked why Haiwon was here. At this time, In-ha also came over. Haiwon found an excuse to call the doctor to leave. Huiju looked at Taeho's hand and remembered how he held Haiwon's hand earlier, so she felt very sad. After the doctor came in to examine, In-ha also received a text message from Haiwon informing him that she had something to do, so she should go home first. In-ha called Chairman Kang to report that Taeho had woken up. The chairman was also very pleased that In-ha had prevented the police investigation so as not to affect the image of Congo Group. In-ha entered the hospital room and told Huiju to go home and rest, but Huiju insisted on staying and declared that because of Haiwon, she no longer liked In-ha. When In-ha said that he would marry In-ha, Huiju said that she hated Haiwon because Haiwon did not love In-ha anymore. The only person she had loved was herself. In-ha immediately said that if his younger sister had offended Haiwon, she was also insulting herself. Huiju said that her brother would definitely regret it and walked away. Actually, In-ha had seen Taeho holding Haiwon's hand earlier, but he had deliberately ignored it. He promised himself that he would definitely not regret it. Haiwon arrived at work and department head Go appeared and said that Director Taeho had been attacked the night before, but he found it strange because Taeho was close to Chairman Kang. However, Congo Group had ordered the police not to investigate the case. The one who had given the order was In-ha. Taeho woke up and saw In-ha sitting next to him. In-ha announced that Taeho would be transferred to the VL area of Congo Hospital the next day. When Taeho asked if they had found the culprit, In-ha said that the police would not investigate. That would not be mentioned again. His father and he had decided on this because if Taeho's name was mentioned, his father's and Kango's names would also be mentioned. After that, In-ha also left and came back to announce that his father had given permission for him and Haiwon to marry. When In-ha left, Taeho decided to throw away the tracking devices. Even though he fell to the ground, he still tried to walk. Taeho went straight to the office to see Chairman Kang. He asked Chairman Kang who was the person who attacked him and nearly killed him. He knew this was against the chairman's wishes, but he wanted to investigate. Chairman Kang asked Taeho not to mention Congo under any circumstances and that he should not let outsiders know that the victim was someone close to the chairman. If Taeho could guarantee these two things, he would allow Taeho to investigate. Taeho also said that he promised to do so and left. Then Chairman Kang called and asked Director Chu to find the mastermind of this case before Han Taeho did. Taeho walked with difficulty on the street and finally got into a taxi. He then collapsed at Gwanji's base. After a while, Taeho woke up and took the medicine that Gwanji gave him. Taeho asked Gwanji to investigate who was the person who attacked him at the basketball court the night before. Haiwon came to see In-ha and asked if he was the one who stopped the police investigation. In-ha also confirmed that he had done so. Taeho was close to Chairman Kang. If the investigation was carried out, his father would be dragged into a troublesome story. His father also agreed with this approach. When Haiwon mentioned that Taeho almost died, In-ha said that Taeho was still alive. After all, Taeho was not related to his father by blood, so it was understandable. Haiwon felt uncomfortable hearing this and left. The next day, when Haiwon was driving home from work, her biological mother stopped her in front of the car. Haiwon took her mother to a restaurant and prepared herself to be asked for money. After 10 years of not seeing each other, the mother immediately gave her an account number and asked her daughter to transfer money to it. Then she asked her daughter to buy her a middle-class apartment. She also warned that if her daughter did not agree, this mother would come to her many times. Haiwon then smashed the wine bottle and threatened that she would end everything here by leaving this world. After bandaging her hand, Haiwon sat in the car and appeared extremely angry. Meanwhile, the mother called a mysterious person to report that she had completed completed the mission. After that, she received $1,000,000 in payment from this mysterious person. Haiwan returned home to find In-ha waiting for her. When he saw Haiwan's injured hand, In-ha immediately checked the wound. When he saw his future wife burst into tears, In-ha immediately hugged her and said he was wrong. At this time, Guanji began to hack into the security camera control center of Seoul City. He observed the data near the area where Taeho was attacked that night and also tracked the attacker's movements. After a while of tracing, he also saw the attacker's face, so he immediately sent Taeho this picture. Taeho realized that this was the secretary he accidentally saw when he went to see Inju. Taeho was extremely angry and asked Guanji to collect all the information about Inju. In-ha drove Haiwan back to the mansion to meet his extended family. Later, when everyone was having dinner together, the chairman asked In-ha if he had chosen an auspicious day. If he have made his choice, discuss it with the secretary's office. The director checked Taeho's wound and allowed him to leave the hospital. Taeho waited outside and saw Mo Ji-jun walking away. He followed Mo Ji-jun silently into a bar. The secretary went into a room and opened the cabinet where his secret bags were kept, but he found out that someone was following him, so he closed the cabinet. Taeho appeared and asked if he didn't try to kill Taeho, right? If there was a next time, would he really kill Taeho? When Mo Ji-jun pretended to not know anything, Taeho asked him to tell Inju that he wouldn't forget the warning this time. He would return everything he had received. When Taeho left, the secretary called to report to someone. Taeho walked out and saw Inju also coming to the bar to have fun. The secretary looked at him and sneered. Taeho then went to Haiwan and told her that he was wrong for not keeping her that night. Haiwan immediately stopped him and asked him not to say anything more. But Taeho said that when he thought he was about to die, all his memories gradually disappeared, but the memories of her were still intact and became clearer. He really had no right to say these words to her. Then he apologized to her and turned to leave. Haiwan immediately said that she came back to find him that night, but he was right not to open the door for her. Taeho suddenly went to kiss Haiwan, but she pushed him away. She scolded him for being crazy and asked what he wanted from her. After they looked at each other without saying anything, the two of them walked forward and voluntarily gave each other a kiss. And this incident was also captured by Mo Gi-jun. These photos quickly reached Inju's hands. The next day, when Taeho went to work, he received a text message from Guanji with information about Inju. Taeho went into the office and opened the document that Guanji had sent him. He immediately realized that the eldest son of the Congo group had extremely suspicious investments. Then the wedding ceremony between In-ha and Haiwan took place. The bride walked into the wedding hall in front of all the guests, and Taeho. Huiju immediately observed Taeho's expression. Then the bride and groom also bowed to all the guests. When the party was about to end, In-ha was introduced to the leaders of the company by Chairman Kang. Haiwan went outside and texted her husband to inform him that she would wait outside. Inju appeared in the elevator and asked Haiwan to follow him. Then he threw the photo on the ground. Haiwan picked up the photo of her kissing Taeho and looked extremely worried, so she also entered the elevator with Inju. In the car, Haiwan was worried, so she immediately called Taeho. Inju suddenly grabbed the phone. At that time, Taeho was researching the drug trafficking line that Inju was running. He saw Haiwan calling, but when he picked up the phone, he heard Inju's voice. Taeho immediately ran to meet him. Taeho met Mo Gi-jun and asked where Haiwan was. Inju appeared and said that they had said goodbye at the hotel parking lot. He then showed Taeho the photo he secretly took to lure Taeho to follow him. Inju said he knew that Taeho and In-ha had gone to the same university for a long time, but he pretended not to know anything so that he could take these unique moments. Then, Inju asked Taeho what his motive was for coming to Kango. Taeho replied that he knew that Inju was the real owner of NASA Entertainment. Inju's tour to Southeast Asia was actually just a way to distribute drugs. The investments he had made were all illegal money through stock manipulation and accounting fraud, and Taeho affirmed that it was corruption. He thought that Inju's secret would make Chairman Kang angrier than his own. Then Taeho threw out the USB and threatened Inju back. But Inju stood up, smiled, and confidently declared that he was still the eldest son of the Congo group, and Taeho was nothing more than a dog. He also threatened to harm Haiwan if Taeho did not listen to him. He could not wait and told Taeho to kneel before him. After a few seconds of thinking, Taeho suddenly knelt down on the ground. Inju seemed very interested and asked Taeho if he really loved Haiwan. He also sarcastically said that Taeho was a real man. After that, the pictures were burned. Inju started dancing with the girl. As for Taeho, he could no longer stay awake. He saw everything around him blurry and his legs could no longer stand. At this time, Director Chu was also reporting to Chairman Kang that it was Mo Gi-jun who had attacked Taeho. He was also Inju's personal secretary. Chairman Kang asked Director Chu not to reveal this to anyone. The next morning, Taeho woke up to find his whole body covered in blood and a sharp instrument in his hand. He was then shocked to see Inju and the girl from the bar last night lying dead on the ground. Taeho was extremely panicked and did not know what had happened. happened. Sonju was quite surprised to hear that his half-brother had been murdered. Inju's wife was crying at Kongo's mansion. Huiju was also extremely shocked that this was related to Taeho. Director John was still calmly enjoying a cup of tea. Haiwan watched the news and found out that the suspect was Taeho, so she was extremely surprised. Gwanji was currently disabling all connections and deleting all data to avoid being related to Taeho. Haiwan thought it was all a misunderstanding. In-ha also affirmed that Taeho absolutely would not do such a thing. He would pick Taeho up and they would eat together. After that, In-ha went to see Chairman Kang. The father asked his son to block all media from reporting on the recent incident. He absolutely must not let Kango's image be affected. At the police station, when the inspector kept asking questions to interrogate, Taeho said he did not remember anything. The inspector informed Taeho that he was the suspect who killed 2 people, Inju and Shin Bona. There were only 3 people using the private elevator at that hotel. It was Taeho and the 2 dead people. That place had no surveillance cameras at the hotel owner's request. Then a police officer came in with the test results. The inspector announced that Taeho's blood test results showed that there were illegal substances. Taeho remembered that last night, when he had been still sober, Inju had put something in his glass of wine, and he had also finished the glass of wine. From then on, he couldn't remember anything. The inspector continued to find an injection mark on Taeho's hand, and asked him not to try to remember anything. He just needed to confess now. Taeho returned to his cell and tried to remember what happened last night, but everything was just blurry images. At night, the news reported that Taeho, in addition to being accused of murdering Inju, was also facing corruption charges because he had received more than 470 million won from a subcontractor. He was currently dismissed from the Kango group. Chairman Khan saw the news and immediately called In-ha to scold him for not stopping the information. Then the father ordered In-ha to find out who leaked the information and deal with it. If In-ha did not want this to be the last time his father spoke to him. Gwanji now had a Korean passport and decided to have nothing to do with Taeho. In-ha tiredly went home and went out to the balcony to talk to his wife. Haiwan asked why her husband did not try to stop the chairman's decision. In-ha immediately said that no matter what, Taeho had killed Inju, and Inju was still his family. So how could she tell him to take Taeho's side? He reminded his wife to calm down and listen to what he said. She and he were now part of the Kongo family. No matter what, they had to put Kongo first. She needed to erase all memories related to Taeho and not make him angry again. The next day, Taeho started going to court and Mo Gi-jun testified. He testified that he had taken the 3 of them to the hotel that night. Inju told him to turn around and go home, but seeing that the 3 of them were drunk, he stayed and watched. He only left when they were all in the elevator. When the lawyer asked who came up with the idea of holding a party at the hotel, the secretary said it was Taeho's idea. He also said that Taeho had told him something very strange before. That was that he would return to Inju what he had received. Taeho was confused when he heard the extremely unfavorable statements. That night, the warden came and asked Taeho to go out. He walked out and was given an angry look by his friend In-ha. In-ha said that he did not come here to hear Taeho's apology. It was Taeho who ruined all the plans they dreamed of together, and In-ha would do everything possible to restore everything. He came here just to show Taeho that after all, his position had not changed. He would worry more about himself than Taeho. After saying that, In-ha coldly walked away. Taeho was led back to the cell and was shocked because his friend In-ha did not ask him anything about the case, but only accused him and denied the relationship with him. Director Chu reported to Chairman Khan that Mo Gi-jun had appeared in court to testify to convict Taeho. Chairman Kang requested to find out the name of that secretary immediately. He had tried to kill Taeho, and now he testified against Taeho for murder. The chairman wanted to know why Taeho wanted to kill his son. The next day, when all the prisoners were allowed to do outdoor activities, Taeho suddenly felt exhausted. He saw the moonlight in the sky, and the memory of that night came back. He immediately sat down and then lay down on the ground. Taeho remembered that he was lying on the ground like that night and saw that another person had appeared. Then Taeho woke up in the prison infirmary. He went to pick up the phone, and the female prison doctor appeared and asked if he was going on a hunger strike to prove his innocence. She also advised him to survive in order to have any hope of proving his innocence. Suddenly, the female doctor pushed the phone over. She said that since Taeho had killed Inju for her, she would help him in return. Then she urged Taeho to hurry up because the prison guard was coming. Taeho immediately called Gwanji but couldn't get through. He decided to call Haiwan, who was sleeping with her husband. When he realized Taeho was calling, Haiwan immediately stepped outside to answer the phone. Haiwan asked Taeho if he really killed Inju. Taeho said he was looking for the truth to see if he really killed the other 2. He then asked Haiwan for a favor. At that moment, the prison guard came and also found out that Taeho had just used the phone. The prison guard decided to let this matter go but asked Taeho to pay him. He wrote the bank account number on Taeho's hand so that he could repay him with a suitable amount of money. The next day, In-ha went to the company and entered Taeho's office. He felt very uncomfortable when the name tag of former director Taeho was still on the desk. A while later, the tag director of strategy department In-ha was also replaced. Haiwan went to find Gwanji as requested by Taeho, but was chased away by him. He expressed that he did not want to have anything to do with Taeho anymore. Haiwan told that Taeho had asked her to tell Gwanji one thing again, that was, if he did not come to find Taeho, Taeho would reveal a secret of his. Taeho was not the type to just talk. Once he said something, he would definitely do it. Taeho asked Gwanji not to use the regular visiting room because all conversations there were recorded. Haiwan then called Taeho to inform him that she had already passed on the message. She believed that he had not done those things. At this time, the female doctor also announced that the phone call time was over. Haiwan turned around and went into the house to see her husband had returned home. In-ha said that he had just returned. Then he hugged Haiwan. He said he was tired and wanted Haiwan to comfort him. The next day, the prison guard went to the cell and informed Taeho that a lawyer had come to see him. Taeho walked out of the meeting room and saw that it was Gwanji. He had disguised himself as a lawyer to be able to meet Taeho in this private room. Taeho told Gwanji that Mo Gi-jun was the last person to see him and the two dead people. He needed to know what happened that night. Taeho then returned to the cell. Gwanji returned to the base and began to investigate Mo Gi-jun's background. Surprisingly, In-ha received a call from Mo Gi-jun. In-ha then went to the place where Haiwan and Taeho often met. Taeho was now walking back to the cell. He remembered that after he finished his glass of wine, his body started to lose balance. He then got in the car with In-ju and Shinbona, and he also noticed the strange gaze of the driver. Director Chu reported to Chairman Kang that Mo Gi-jun's mother used to work at Kanggo's mansion, but she died in a car accident 22 years ago. Mo Gi-jun had gone to the same school as In-ha when he was young. When he grew up, he joined the company with the help of In-ju. The chairman immediately ordered Director Chu to investigate carefully to see if there was anything else unclear behind In-ju's death. After getting Mo Gi-jun's background, Gwanji decided to go to his residence to investigate, but when he pressed the elevator door, he saw young master In-ha inside. Gwanji also entered and decided to press the floor number higher than the floor In-ha wanted to go to, so In-ha got out of the elevator first. Gwanji also followed and saw this In-ha enter Mo Gi-jun's apartment. Gwanji also told Taeho that Mo Gi-jun's mother used to work at the villa in the countryside and passed away when he was only 10 years old. He and In-ha lived in that villa for 7 years before moving to Seoul to live. Gwanji investigated that Mo Gi-jun was using another phone, so he took control of the phone and called In-ha. Immediately after that, In-ha called Mo Gi-jun back and praised him for doing a good job in testifying against Taeho in court. According to what Gwanji saw, In-ha was not Taeho's friend. Taeho was shocked when he heard. He returned to his cell and realized that In-ha's ultimate goal was him, not In-ju. After that, the court also sentenced Taeho to the highest penalty, death. He was extremely angry and affirmed that he was not the murderer. In-ha went to see his father and informed him that Taeho had received the death penalty. Chairman Khan was also shocked by this news. Hui-ju was also extremely sad. She remembered the good memories she had with him. Taeho was taken back to prison to serve his sentence. The other prisoners were scared when they saw Taeho wearing the red badge for death row inmates. The gang leader of the cell came out and asked to see the new prisoner's face. He recognized Taeho's face as very familiar. Then, he remembered that he had met Taeho in college when he had been collecting debt. He introduced to his subordinates that Taeho had studied at Han Jaeok University. The gang leader asked Taeho to happily spend time in prison together, but Taeho just quietly went to a corner and sat down. The lawyer informed In-ha that Taeho might not be sentenced to death in the upcoming appeal hearing because the lawyer there would exploit the fact that he killed someone while in a state of insanity. But In-ha said that he hoped Taeho would be sentenced to death. He also asked the lawyer to help make sure that Taeho would receive the death penalty. In-ha went home and sat in the bathtub. He recalled the moment he saw the intimate pictures of Taeho and Haiwan. He burned those pictures at the place where they often met. Thinking of that, he immediately went and kissed Haiwan on the lips. When his wife resisted, In-ha pushed Haiwan into the bathtub. After that, he strangled his wife and said that he had chosen her only because Taeho wanted her. To him, Taeho was just a dog that craved things that belonged to its owner. Then In-ha asked his wife if she now knew her use. He reminded her that if she wanted to live, it was best not to forget who she was. At this time, Haiwan was extremely scared and confused. The night before, she also saw In-ha appear at the place where she and Taeho often met. The next day, Haiwan went to the prison to visit Taeho. After they asked about each other's health, Taeho suggested that Haiwan do whatever she wanted. He told her to confidently tell Chairman Khan that she wanted to manage Kanggo's art fund. Director John was absent, so now was the best opportunity. That art fund was where Chairman Kang set up and managed his secret fund until now. Haiwan also went to the top floor of the Congo Group's tower. to meet her father-in-law. She asked Chairman Kang to let her manage Kango's art fund. She knew that her father-in-law used it to set up and manage his secret fund. If he agreed, she would do whatever he asked. Taeho told the gang leader that he needed a phone. He also promised to pay a large sum of money. At night, the gang leader and his subordinates began to dig a secret tunnel under the prison cell. He gave Taeho a brick phone. Then he asked Taeho to transfer money to this account number in order to receive the goods. Taeho promised to pay 4 times more if the phone could make calls and come with a charger. In-ha and his subordinates began to research Chairman Park's background. His daughter is currently working as a doctor in the prison, and she is also the female doctor who had helped Taeho contact. After that, In-ha received a phone call from Chairman Kang asking him to bring his wife to dinner with his family this weekend. In-ha was very skeptical when he heard it. The next day, while Taeho was working in the laundry room at the prison, he received a bag of clothes. After that, he took out the phone and started to hide it. Suddenly, the prison guard appeared and informed him that someone wanted to see him. Taeho went outside and saw that the visitor was his mother, who had become a nun, but he did not have the courage to face his mother, so he refused to meet her. The prison guard said that the monk had traveled a long way to meet him. Hearing this, Taeho stopped and decided to go back to see his mother. When he got past the prison guard's control and ran to the place, his mother was nowhere to be found. The heartbroken mother walked out and burst into tears because she could not meet her son. That night, when Taeho was sitting sadly in a solitary cell after being punished, prison guard passed by and glanced at him. Taeho then remembered the eyes of the driver who drove him on the night of the murder. They were not Mogi Jun's eyes at all. The gang leader started distributing food to the prisoners in the solitary confinement cell. Taeho immediately held his hand and asked him to help him. Gwanji was sitting sadly in the restaurant when his friend invited him to go to a bar to look at girls, but Gwanji refused without hesitation. Then he received a phone call from an unknown number. When he picked up the phone, it was Taeho. Taeho confirmed that Mogi Jun was not the one who had driven him to the hotel that night. He asked Gwanji to help him find out who had driven that night. Mogi Jun had killed In-ju and Shin Bona. That driver was the only witness. Gwanji approached someone who used to work at the Chrome nightclub and had a close relationship with Mogi Jun. Gwanji asked who had helped Mogi Jun at the bar that night, but this person said he didn't know anything. Gwanji then pointed behind him where 3 tall men were waiting. The man saw this and started to get scared. Then they all went to a motel to find a man named Joy. He was Mogi Jun's closest subordinate. The 3 tall men held the picture and searched all the rooms in the motel. At this time, Joy also appeared and tried to run outside. He climbed to the top floor and ran through the buildings. The other 3 also chased after him, but later he managed to shake them off and got into a truck to leave. After escaping safely, he immediately called Mogi Jun to report the situation. Soon after, In-ha also received a phone call from Mogi Jun. Joy then went to the Chrome nightclub to find Mogi Jun, but was suddenly stabbed by Mogi Jun. When she saw Joy had stopped breathing, In-ha asked him to kill Taeho. Haiwon visited Taeho and asked him how to become a leader at Kango Group. Then she showed Taeho the bruises on her neck and told that In-ha had done this. In-ha had already known everything that happened between her and Taeho. The 3 of them were no longer the same. Then, Haiwon asked Taeho if he could use his ability to help her from now on. Taeho said he would help her become the next owner of Kango. When In-ha saw the picture of his wife going to prison, he was extremely angry. That night, Haiwon and In-ha went to the mansion for dinner. Chairman Kang announced that Haiwon would be the new director of the art fund. The daughter-in-law strongly opposed this decision. She thought she deserved to sit in that position. Chairman Kang immediately slammed the table and affirmed that no one could change his decision. Then Chairman Kang went inside. The sister-in-law promised to make Haiwon regret it. After saying that, she left. Huiju told In-ha that his wife was now the one chosen by Chairman Kang. After saying that, Huiju also left. When In-ha wondered, Haiwon said that she went to see her father-in-law and asked to sit in that position. She also needed a reason to continue staying in this family. In-ha immediately warned his wife to enjoy it while she still could. At night, prison guard called Mogi Jun and informed him that he was ready to act. Mogi Jun was then standing with In-ha on a bridge. Taeho was sleeping in his cell when the prison guard came to inform him that someone had come to visit him. Taeho also walked out of his cell. In-ha drove to the restaurant, which was also Gwanji's base. In-ha said that he knew Gwanji's identity. Then he also announced that Taeho was dead and everything was over. Suddenly, Gwanji's friend appeared from behind with a gun in his hand. It turned out that he had been bribed by In-ha with money. At that moment, In-ha received a phone call informing him of Taeho's situation. The news reported an urgent update about the death row inmate Taeho escaping from prison the previous night. The prison guard anxiously waited at the meeting point. Then he reported everything to Mogi Jun. At that time, the prison guard had intended to kill Taeho, but suddenly he had disappeared. Mogi Jun had thrown out the money and asked the prison guard to keep it a secret. In-ha was sitting in the back of Mogi Jun's car. Haiwon went to Gwanji's base and kept knocking on the door, but Guanji was then being controlled by his friend inside. Haiwan had no choice but to leave and get into the car. At that time, she received a call from her biological mother asking her to bring money to her to gamble. In the base, Guanji's friend received instructions from In-ha to find Taeho immediately, so he ordered Guanji to search. Guanji stood up gently but immediately grabbed the gun from his friend. Guanji then asked him to give him half of the money that In-ha had given him. At that time, Huiju was also on the phone with the head of the judicial team, asking them to find Taeho for her immediately. Songju came to the villa to visit his mother. He expressed his desire to make In-ha disappear from the future strategy room in Kengo immediately. If she didn't come back to help her son, Hyeon would take all the money from the art fund's secret fund. Then it would be over. Director Jung asked her son to be patient because she had her own preparations. She would gather the power of the shareholders in the board of directors to make them stand on her side. At that time, Hyeon's mother was still waiting for her daughter to come and give her the money. She thought that it would be easier to ask for money if she called her son-in-law. Then Hyeon also drove over. Haiwan gave her mother a stack of money and asked her to introduce Haiwan to a person-finding specialist. The mother said that there were all kinds of people gathered there so it wouldn't be difficult. Haiwan immediately promised to pay double the amount, but the deadline was the next day. She had to introduce that person to Haiwan. When her daughter drove away, the mother called her son-in-law. She reported that Haiwan had just arrived and demanded that she find Haiwan a specialist in locating people. In-ha rushed home and looked at his wife with an angry look. Taeho now recalled the memory of the night of the murder. At that time, In-ju and Shin Bona had been killed by a young man. Then In-ha had also appeared in that room. Taeho woke up with a start and realized that In-ha had been there. At that time, Chairman Kang entered and Taeho was also on the top floor of the tower belonging to Kango Group. The chairman told Taeho that if it hadn't been for him, Taeho would have died. He felt suspicious of Mo Gi-jun, so he sent someone to follow him. The chairman showed Taeho pictures of Mo Gi-jun, the long-haired guy, and In-ha appearing at the Chrome nightclub. When the chairman said Taeho killed his son, Taeho insisted that he did not do it. Haiwan received a call from her mother, telling her to come see a person-finding specialist tonight. At night, Hyeon was waiting on a bridge when a car arrived. Mo Gi-jun got out of the car and asked her if she was looking for the escaped prisoner. He then drugged Haiwan and put her in the car. Mo Gi-jun threw Haiwan's phone into the river. Later, Haiwan woke up to find herself tied up on the bed. At this time, In-ha also appeared. Haiwan immediately asked her husband when he had contacted her mother. When In-ha asked his wife if she was looking for the escaped prisoner, Haiwan insisted that Taeho had not escaped. There must be something going on. She knew that In-ha knew about her and Taeho. She had felt ashamed and thought she would live in guilt forever, but that was before he strangled her. In-ha immediately declared that he would not forgive her for deceiving him. She might have been happy that Chairman Kang had chosen and trusted her, but unfortunately it would end now. Then In-ha went outside. There were many nurses from the mental hospital rushing in. The director of Kongo Hospital was conducting a medical examination on Taeho. When the director left, Taeho asked Chairman Kang why he saved Taeho. Did he want Taeho to get rid of In-ha? Chairman Kang announced that In-ha was trying to form an alliance with Chairman Park. In-ha was trying to divide Kango and give it to Chairman Park. Taeho said that the division had already been done because he was the one who had designed it. He had wanted to make In-ha the owner of Kango. Chairman Kang announced that he would kick In-ha out of Kango. That way, Taeho would get back what he once had. At that time, In-ha also went to a restaurant to meet Chairman Park. The chairman started to make plans to prepare to take over half of Congo. Since his father had also been involved in the founding of the group, he was very interested in In-ha's proposal. It turned out that In-ha had previously met Chairman Park and had asked him to help him become the new owner of Congo. Chairman Park had thought that this was impossible because In-ha was just an illegitimate child, but In-ha had promised to give the chairman half of Congo if he became its owner. Back in the present, In-ha said that he was already the director of the Future Strategy Office. That was the core of Kango. If Chairman Park agreed to help, he promised that the chairman would get Kango's food, distribution, and construction divisions. After saying that, the two sides clinked glasses to celebrate this cooperation. Taeho called Haiwan but couldn't reach her, so he felt very worried. The next morning, Taeho began to research ways to break up the cooperation between In-ha and Chairman Park. He recalled the memories he had had with In-ha since they were students. He also remembered the promise to make In-ha the new owner of Congo, but it was gone when In-ha's true face began to appear. In-ha went to the mental hospital to see Haiwan. When he heard his wife say she would kill him, In-ha said that if he died, she would have nothing left. When Haiwan asked why he became like this, In-ha affirmed that he was still the same person. But if Haiwan promised that from now on, she would only exist for him, he would let her leave this place. Haiwan now nodded in agreement. After that, she was taken home by In-ha to continue living as a normal person. Chairman Kang told Taeho that In-ha In-ha forced Haiwan into the mental hospital, but he did not know why In-ha let Haiwan go. Taeho said that it was because In-ha wanted to get the Art Fund's secret fund to carry out the Kango division. In-ha needed a lot of money, so he released the fund's director, Haiwan. Taeho also said that Chairman Kang must pull Haiwan to their side. Chairman Kang immediately called Director Chu. At that time, Guanji was still searching for Taeho's location. Director Chu drove Haiwan to see Chairman Kang. Chairman Kang told his daughter-in-law to decide wisely on whose side to stand on because In-ha needed a lot of money to carry out her future plans. Haiwan said she had something to do right now and asked Chairman not to stop her. Guanji also successfully hacked into the camera system near the prison. He saw that night a prison car had driven outside, then another car had driven in. The prison guard had started carrying a masked man to this car. He started looking up the license plate of the car that carried Taeho and found that it belonged to Director Chu's Minton law firm. Taeho explained to Chairman Kang that Chairman Park was just a tool of In-ha and would be eliminated at any time. He thought that Chairman Kang should pull Chairman Park to his side first by offering to give him half of Congo. Chairman Kang shook his head because Congo was his life's achievement, but Taeho said that the division was only temporary. He would help the chairman get everything back later. The Co-Prosperity Center was core of Congo, so even if Chairman Park got half of Congo, its owner would not change anything. Then Taeho opened the door to look outside, and on a floor below this tower, In-ha was also present at the company. The battle between the two boys had now officially begun. In-ha went down to the basement to drive and prepare to leave when he saw Director In driving towards him. He then went inside and looked around suspiciously. The director continued to check Taeho's health and announced that he didn't need to come here anymore. At this time, In-ha also took the elevator to the place. The director saw In-ha's appearance and was very panicked. The director deliberately fell down to signal to Chairman Kang. Taeho heard the noise, so he went outside to investigate. Then he saw In-ha was there. Chairman Kang came out and announced that Director In had just checked his health. Then he asked In-ha to get in the elevator with Director In to leave this place. In-ha also said goodbye to his father and entered the elevator. Chairman Kang immediately signaled Taeho to step outside. In the elevator, In-ha asked the director who he had come to see. However, the director remained silent. When they got to the basement, In-ha began to warn the director. The director got into the car and called Chairman Kang, saying that it seemed like In-ha had discovered something. Chairman Kang told Taeho that In-ha knew everything. Taeho urged Chairman Kang to meet Chairman Park tonight. He said that he would contact Chairman Kang later. After saying that, he also left the place. Chairman Kang met Chairman Park and promised to help him build his own empire. Chairman Park immediately said that Chairman Kang had not changed at all. He was willing to give up his bloodline to protect Kango. Chairman Kang immediately announced that tomorrow, In-ha would have to leave Kango and would no longer be a member of the Kang family. Then Chairman Kang asked if the other party had changed his mind. Then, Chairman Park got in the car and left. Meanwhile, In-ha went home and received a call from Guanji informing him that Taeho was at Congo Group Tower. Huiju also received a report from the judicial captain that there was something suspicious in Chairman Kang's office. He had forbidden everyone from entering there, so the judicial captain deduced that Chairman Kang was probably the one who had taken Taeho out. Taeho now pressed the call button for Haiwan. She informed him to come down to the ground floor to meet her in 5 minutes. Then Haiwan went to the tower's receptionist and got a VIP card that could access all floors of the tower. Taeho then took the VIP card and went to the floor he wanted. Haiwan quickly left. Taeho took the elevator to the area where the murder took place. He entered the room and recalled that night. Shinbona kept holding her phone to record the scenes of partying. Then she dropped the phone on the ground and it was still recording. Chairman Kang returned to Kango and sat in the bathtub and enjoyed a glass of wine. At this time, In-ha also arrived. He wanted to explain the reason why he came to see Chairman Park, but his father informed him that his contract would be terminated at 9 a.m. tomorrow and that he would leave Congo. In-ha immediately said that he had done everything he could. Then he asked why his father did not recognize his ability. Chairman Kang immediately revealed all the truth, from In-ha borrowing Taeho's ability to prove himself to him, killing his own brother. Then he warned his son to live quietly so that he would have mercy and not punish him. In-ha was angry and blamed his father for turning him into this person. The chairman heard that and started having a heart attack and threw the glass of wine on the ground. He asked In-ha to go out and tried to get some medicine, but he dropped it on the ground and then fell into the bathtub. In-ha went to grab his father's collar and declared that from now on Congo would be his. Then he pushed his father down and coldly left. Huiju took the elevator to her father's office and saw a broken wine glass on the floor. Her father was lying unconscious in the bathroom. Huiju then stood waiting in front of the operating room. The other family members also arrived. When Director Zhang asked why her daughter came to the office at that hour, Huiju was confused. Now Haiwan also arrived. In-ha was sitting at home when he received a call from Haiwan. He was extremely surprised to know that his father was still alive. Director In came out of the operating room and announced that there was no conclusion yet because Chairman Kang had missed the golden hour to take heart medication. They had to wait until he regained consciousness. At this time, the third son began to appear. In-ha now remembered that Director In came out of a room, so he realized that there might be a secret space inside. In-ha drove out of the hospital and went to his father's office. Then he opened a door and found a bedroom inside. In-ha realized that this was where Taeho used to live. Taeho was now on a train to a remote province. Prosecutor Ha got out and got into the car, and Taeho followed. Taeho announced that he was not here to turn himself in. He really didn't kill anyone. He had influenced Prosecutor Ha, so he wanted to come here to pay his debt. The night of the murder, everything that happened was recorded on Shin Bona's phone, and Taeho was giving Prosecutor Ha a chance to return to Seoul. But then Prosecutor Ha took out the handcuffs to handcuff Taeho. He thought that Taeho looked down on him because he had no one with power behind him. Taeho continued to persuade him and said that this was the last chance for Prosecutor Ha and himself. Gwanji also saw Taeho appear with Prosecutor Ha. He was about to call In-ha, but decided to stop. Then he deleted camera video file. Prosecutor Ha broke into the prosecutor's office where he used to work. Then he searched for information about Taeho's case. Before that, Taeho promised that if Prosecutor Ha couldn't find the video on Shinbona's phone, then Prosecutor Ha could arrest Taeho. Now Taeho is also handcuffed in the car, waiting for Prosecutor Ha to go into the evidence storage room. Then Prosecutor Ha also found Shinbona's phone. Prosecutor Ha went to his car and plugged in his phone to charge it, but it had a password, so he drove away to find a way to unlock it. After successfully unlocking it, Prosecutor Ha started to open the photo folder, but there was nothing in the photo folder. Prosecutor Ha took the phone to his car and gave it to Taeho to check it himself. Taeho nervously opened the phone and saw that there were no videos or pictures. Taeho tried to search in other folders and saw that the pictures and videos were all secured separately in another place. Taeho realized that they were videos of the scene when the murder happened. He opened one of the videos and saw that he had collapsed behind the camera that night. Then In-ju had walked out and had been killed by Mo Gi-jun. He had then injected Taeho with an injection. Then Mo Gi-jun had continued to kill Shin Bona. At this time, a foot walked in. Taeho now regained his composure and said that it was a beautiful day to return. Prosecutor Ha showed the videos to the chief prosecutor. The videos were partially edited because Taeho asked Prosecutor Ha to cut out the last person's appearance. Prosecutor Ha needed to catch Mo Gi-jun first. Then Taeho would help him catch the real culprit behind it. The chief prosecutor said that Prosecutor Ha might get in trouble for taking the evidence without permission. He then asked Prosecutor Ha to pack his bags and return to the prosecutor's office to work. The next morning, Taeho went to the police station and announced that he was coming to confess. Meanwhile, Prosecutor Ha led a group of prosecutors to the Congo group and announced the arrest of Mo Gi-jun for the murder of In-ju and Shin Bona. At this time, In-ha was also standing above and calmly watching his subordinate being taken away. Gwanji read the news of this arrest and felt very excited. Director Chu announced that he would defend Taeho under the free legal consultation program of the Minton law firm. It turned out that Chairman Khan had asked Director Chu to help Taeho solve this problem. Hui-ju was also taking care of her father. She told her father, who was in a coma, that the real culprit who had killed her eldest brother had been caught. Then she told her father to wake up soon. In-ha met with Chairman Park and continued to convince him to cooperate to help In-ha become the new owner of Congo. But the chairman said that if Chairman Khan had not been sick, In-ha would have been kicked out. If he woke up the next day, In-ha would have to leave Congo as planned, and In-ha would never have Congo if Chairman Kang was still alive. In-ha came home and found that Hai-won had left her wedding ring on the table and had disappeared. He was extremely angry, and Hai-won had also moved to a new place. Mo Gi-jun told Prosecutor Ha that he had often been beaten and cursed by In-ju for a long time. That was why he had killed In-ju and Shin Bona. Although Prosecutor Ha tried to question the mastermind behind the incident, he still said that he had done it all by himself. The next day at the mansion, Director Jang tried to persuade the board members to join her. She wanted to pave the way for her son to take over Kango Group. Taeho returned to the prison and invited the gang leader to drink with him. While the two were drinking together, Taeho told that he had set up a fake investment company called Goldheart Investment in Hong Kong. The purpose had been to make In-ha the company's chairman. Even In-ha had not known about this. Later, the gang leader was released from prison and was welcomed by two subordinates who had been in prison with him. The three then went to meet the girl they went to college with to collect the debt. Hai-won began to show the documents about Goldheart Investment. Hai-won asked the gang leader to pretend to be an investment genius named Michael Jang, Cornell graduate and an eccentric genius. Gwanji also appeared and would join the plan. He had previously shot his friend in the leg and declared that he would no longer be on In-ha's side. Gwanji then went to the prison to meet Taeho. He expressed his interest in the Goldheart Goldhart investment company that he had discovered. Now the gang leader happily agreed to cooperate. Soon after, Congo's stock purchase orders were continuously executed. This unusual incident was quickly reported to Song-ju. He immediately went to see his mother and showed her the unusual stock ownership ratio of Goldhart investment. In-ha called his subordinates and asked them to investigate Goldhart investment. Haiwan went to report to Tae-ho that everything was almost done. Now all that was left was for him to come out and start the fight. After that, Tae-ho's appeal hearing also took place. Director Chu asked the jury to give Tae-ho a chance to make amends and return to being a normal citizen. After that, the judge also apologized to the defendant Tae-ho and declared Tae-ho innocent. The next day, Tae-ho officially walked out of prison. After hearing that Tae-ho had been released, In-ha immediately asked his subordinates to carefully investigate the other party. That night, In-ha drove home. He remembered what Chairman Park said, that In-ha would never have Congo if Chairman Kang was still alive. He also remembered the cold words his father had said to him. So In-ha decided to drive to the hospital. Then he went straight to his father's hospital room. He said that his father should have died that night so that he wouldn't have to go through this pain again. In-ha was about to open the breathing tube when Tae-ho suddenly appeared and stopped him. Then the two went to the rooftop to talk. Tae-ho said that if Chairman Kang died, In-ha wouldn't have gotten anything. Tae-ho also asked if he couldn't return to being the In-ha he was when they first met. In-ha asked back that wasn't Tae-ho's life's goal to make him the chairman of Kango. So why did Tae-ho stop him? Tae-ho immediately spoke up to teach his stupid friend a lesson. Tae-ho would continue to stop In-ha because he had known all the truth. Tae-ho even had enough evidence in hand, and in the end, In-ha would have nothing. In-ha might be Chairman Kang's son, but without Tae-ho, his dream would not come true. After saying that, Tae-ho walked away. In-ha then called someone. At this time in the prison, Mogi-jun was preparing to sleep when the prison guard appeared. The prison guard announced that someone had come to see Mogi-jun. Mogi-jun went to the meeting room and saw a phone on the table. Then it vibrated. Mogi-jun picked up the phone and found out that In-ha was calling him. In-ha explained that he had wanted to meet Mogi-jun directly, but there had been too many parties paying attention to him. He was almost at his goal, so he couldn't stop then. Mogi-jun also promised that he would take all the blame, but he was actually a bit scared because he knew that sooner or later he would receive the death penalty. Then Mogi-jun was led outside by the prison guard. Suddenly, the prison guard used a sharp brush to stab Mogi-jun many times, causing him to fall to the ground. Then the prison guard left and reported the situation to In-ha. Tae-ho returned to his base. He remembered that he had told Chairman Kang about Goldhart investment before. That company had been created to protect the chairman from opposing forces trying to gain Congo's shares. He had also advised Chairman Kang to release part of the capital overseas for funding. He would start neutralizing the opposing forces. At that time, Guanji also received an email from Song-ju asking to meet Michael Jang. The gang leader was quite nervous, but Tae-ho said that Song-ju wouldn't dare to look down on him because the shares they held were quite large. Hui-ju went to see her sister-in-law and said that the shares of In-ju that she held were only for the Kang family, but the sister-in-law said that what she wanted to do with them was her business. Hui-ju asked her sister-in-law to use those shares to help Song-ju. She also reminded her sister-in-law not to forget her identity, but the sister-in-law just laughed contemptuously. Director Zhang called her son and asked him to get Goldhart Investment to join their side. Song-ju said that they had already sent a letter agreeing to meet. He asked if the other shareholders were on their side. His mother said that they were like fish living in Congo's pond, and they would choose their owners based on who gave them more benefits. Song-ju also told Congressman Lee to take action to help them. Meanwhile, In-ha went to see Chairman Park and expressed his concern about the Congo shares that Goldhart Investment was holding. Michael Jang usually sided with the party that offered the best deal. If Michael Jang was not brought to their side, the Congo split would be threatened. Chairman Park asked In-ha to do everything he could to get Michael Jang. Otherwise, he would abandon In-ha at any time. Director Zhang and her son went to meet Chairman Michael Jang, but unexpectedly saw In-ha there. In-ha said that Chairman Michael Jang had called him there for a meeting. Then In-ha expressed his goal of becoming the head of Congo to Director Zhang and Song-ju. At that moment, someone opened the door and walked in. It was Tae-ho. He introduced himself as the CEO of Goldhart Investment. Director Zhang stood up to leave, but Tae-ho said that he was in charge of all domestic business activities of the company. Then he gave out his business card. Director Zhang also sat down to continue the meeting. Later, when Tae-ho was driving away, he was blocked by In-ha's car. He walked out and told Tae-ho that this was the secret. Tae-ho said he used to stop In-ha, right? In-ha said that he wouldn't let things go Tae-ho's way. Tae-ho confirmed that things were going his way and drove away. A while later, when In-ha drove home, he received another call from his sister-in-law. In-ha went to the gallery to meet his sister-in-law. She said she would give him this painting. Then his sister-in-law walked away and came back to tell In-ha that the meaning behind this painting fainting was cooperation. Now In-ha received another call from director Jong, inviting him to have dinner together. That night, In-ha drove to the mansion. When he went inside, he saw Taeho having dinner with director Jong and Song-ju. In-ha also sat down to have dinner with them, but when everyone was clinking glasses together, there was no part for him. Feeling humiliated, In-ha stood up and asked to leave. Then In-ha decided to call a commissioner. The next day, the prison guard came to inform a prisoner that his request to leave had been approved. It was Taeho's stepfather. The prison guard then gave the prisoner Kil-soo a phone and told him that his every move was being monitored. Taeho's stepfather went outside and opened the phone. He saw that a message had been sent. There was a picture of his wife who had appeared in the prison. Director Jong went to visit her husband, who was lying in a coma in the hospital bed. She called Song-ju to hold an official press conference tomorrow. The next day, an emergency press conference was also held at the Congo group. At a temple, when Taeho's mother was walking up the stairs, she saw her violent husband sitting above her. She immediately stepped back. Kil-soo stepped forward and accused his wife of deceiving him and sending him to prison. He asked her to listen to him and he would forgive her. However, the wife thought that he had treated her and her son badly and she had no reason to apologize. Kil-soo angrily rushed forward, causing the wife to step back in fear. Unfortunately, she accidentally fell backwards. The husband left, leaving his wife lying in a pool of blood. At this time, Director Jang and Song-ju were preparing to leave the mansion to go to the press conference. Suddenly, many police cars drove up and surrounded them. A police officer announced the arrest of Director Jang for the crime of disposing of a body, bribery, and corruption. Department head Moon also suffered the same fate for disposing of a body. The police began to handcuff the two and escort them to the police station. At the press conference, everyone was in chaos when they did not see the person who organized the press conference. Suddenly, Director In-ha walked in with his head held high. It turned out that In-ha had given his subordinates a set of documents earlier. The contents were about Director Jong's hit and run and her slush fund. After that, he had asked the staff to hand them over to the police immediately. In-ha confidently announced to everyone that Chairman Kang has not yet regained consciousness and is being treated by the best doctors in Korea at Congo Hospital. The group situation is currently in chaos because false information about the group keeps appearing. So today, he declared a state of emergency for Congo Group. He also asked to appoint himself as chairman until everything returns to normal. He also promised to lead the group through this crisis in the wisest way. Song-ju watched this speech live and immediately threw away his phone. Taeho also appeared at this press conference. Later, a reporter was shocked when he heard that Congo Group's director Jong had been arrested. When Taeho went back to the base, Gwon-ji said that when Director Jang was arrested, all of her and her son's supporters would switch to In-ha and Chairman Park's side. It was only a matter of time before In-ha became the chairman. At this time, Taeho received a photo showing that his stepfather had been released. Taeho immediately drove to find his mother. The stepfather had threatened that he would not let his mother go if he were released from prison. Hui-ju went to see In-ha to ask why her mother was arrested and what right he had to speak at press conference. In-ha bluntly said that it was too late to save her mother. Shocked by her brother's despicable attitude, Hui-ju said that he was no longer the brain In-ha she once knew and that he had truly lost his mind. After saying that, Hui-ju also walked away. Song-ju and the secretary tried to contact Director Choi and Congressman Lee but could not contact either of them. It turned out that these two were sitting together talking and they both intentionally did not pick up Song-ju's calls. Congressman Lee also expressed his disappointment at being a loser since choosing to ally with Song-ju. Director Choi then persuaded Congressman Lee to side with In-ha since he was chairman of Congo. In-ha went to see his half-brother. He nodded and apologized for taking the center stage at the press conference they had intentionally organized. Then In-ha mocked Song-ju about his mother's incident. Song-ju angrily hit In-ha and humiliated his younger brother. He then chased his younger brother out immediately. However, In-ha went out with a satisfied face. Taeho went to the hospital to identify his mother's body. He felt extremely regretful for letting his mother run away and that he did not have the courage to face her for the last time. He began to shed belated tears. In-ha and Chairman Park began to join forces with Congressman Lee and Director Choi to establish power. In-ha also promised Chairman Park that as long as the board meeting went well, half of Congo would belong to him. Then everyone raised their glasses to celebrate this promising cooperation. Now In-ha also received a phone call informing him about Taeho's mother's situation. Taeho sat sadly at the funeral with his comrades in the secret organization. Gwon-ji also announced an important piece of information that he had discovered. The prisoner Kil-soo was released for 2 nights and 3 days. However, he returned to prison just 1 day after being released. Taeho heard and was very suspicious. Suddenly, Song-ju went to the funeral. Then he told Taeho that their families no longer had their mothers by their side. He thought it was the same person who caused this. Then he made an appointment to meet Taeho privately after the funeral. Taeho stood in front of his mother mother's resting place. At this time, Haiwan also came and talked to Taeho. From the time she was born until now, she felt like she never had a real mother, but he had a wonderful mother who always prayed for his future. She thought that was why he was always bold and confident. Then she gave Taeho the keepsake that his mother left for him. She also said that he was the strongest person she had ever known, so she had always clung to him to be able to get to his current position. She also encouraged Taeho not to fall down now. Taeho then began to read the letter his mother left behind. In the letter, his mother asked him to let go of the bad things that happened in the past. His mother hoped that tolerance would always be with her son in the future. Taeho read the letter and could only cry. He decided to drive to the place where he and his mother used to live. Taeho entered the simple house and put down his mother's portrait. Then he remembered that he had also started a friendship with In-ha in this peaceful countryside. Then he asked himself why things had turned out like this. In-ha stood in Chairman Kang's office and looked at the Royal Road project. Then he told himself that this day had finally come. The next day, the shareholders' meeting was ready. The nameplate reading Chairman In-ha was also placed on the podium. Songju went to the prison to visit his mother. Director Jong immediately asked her son to take back Congo because it was hers. Unexpectedly, Songju shouted loudly and said that everything was over. He was exhausted from living for his mother's dream. Because of her personal ambition, she pushed him to this position. He had never felt happy in his life and always felt insecure because he had to please others. He wanted to stop to do what he wanted, and Songju also wanted his mother to stop with him. After that, Songju and his mother both burst into tears. Chairman Park sat in the car and went to the Congo Group shareholders meeting in a very happy mood. Suddenly, he received a phone call from his daughter, who was a female doctor working at the prison. She said she had something to tell her father. She had to endure inju and became an addict. She had also wanted to disappear from this world. The father also apologized to his daughter for constantly scolding her in the past. Then he promised that it was time for him to fulfill his responsibilities as a father. At this time, In-ha also drove to Congo Group. Then he and his 2 employees went inside. Songju went to the shareholder meeting and sat with Huiju. At this time, the sister-in-law also came and asked to sit with Director Choi. Then Ko Hee-chen also sat on the same side as Huiju's enemy. Suddenly, the personal secretary came in and reported something to Songju, so he immediately went out. In-ha and his 2 assistants took the elevator up to preside over the shareholders meeting, but as soon as the elevator door opened, Prosecutor Ha was already waiting. He announced the arrest of In-ha for the murder of In-ju and Mo Gi-jun. While In-ha was stubbornly resisting, Taeho also appeared. In-ha immediately burst out laughing with cold gaze. Director Choi was extremely panicked when he heard that Chairman In-ha had been arrested. Taeho received a phone call from a female doctor. She informed him that her father wanted to meet him. At this time, the prison guard was walking on the street when he was stopped by 2 young men who had been in prison. The gang leader appeared and said that when he had been in prison, he had been forced to listen to the prison guard. But now that he was out, everything was the opposite. Prison guard should not have done anything against his professional ethics. Guanji also appeared and asked the prison guard to be obedient and cooperate. After that, the prison guard was also dragged away. Chairman Park went back to his office and saw Taeho waiting for him. Taeho then told Chairman Park that Chairman Kang had promised to give him the Kango Energy Company. Taeho thought he was too preoccupied with whether to support Chairman Kang or In-ha, so he didn't realize that the company's stock had risen to nearly 1 million won per share. Chairman Park then said that he looked at Taeho and remembered Chairman Kang when he was young. Taeho continued to ask Chairman Park not to get involved with In-ha anymore, because Chairman Park only needed to care about him. Meanwhile, Prosecutor Ha began to question In-ha. However, In-ha thought that the other party was wrong to arrest him without evidence. Prosecutor Ha immediately signaled for someone to come in, and it was Mo Gi-jun who was still alive. It turned out that the night Mo Gi-jun had been killed by the prison guard, the female doctor of the prison had appeared in time and saved him. Then Taeho had received a phone call from the female doctor. She had informed him that his prediction was correct, that Mo Gi-jun had been attacked. At that time, Taeho had gone to the prison to secretly meet Mo Gi-jun. He had asked Mo Gi-jun if he could guess who was the mastermind who wanted to kill him, the person who would abandon his friends for his own benefit. In-ha had no friends, and he was just a tool for In-ha to manipulate and exploit. Taeho also promised to help him escape the life of a slave and live his own life. Back in reality, Mo Gi-jun angrily grabbed In-ha's collar. He said that he did everything to protect In-ha. Then he asked In-ha if he had always seen Mo Gi-jun as a dog. Unexpectedly, In-ha coldly said that if he were a dog, he would have to protect his master until the end. Mo Gi-jun wanted to hit In-ha, but was stopped by the prosecutors. The next day, the prosecutors raided the Future Strategy office, where In-ha was the director. They also confiscated all the documents there. At the hospital, doctors and nurses were running into Chairman Kang's room because Chairman Kang's heart was showing signs of stopping. Meanwhile, In-ha also received a package from his father. It contained a court decision to cancel In-ha's Kang surname. This meant that he he would return to his previous Baek surname. In-ha read the decision and burst into laughter in his own madness. Meanwhile, Huiju called Taeho and said that she wanted to meet Taeho at her mansion. When Tae went in to meet Huiju, Chairman Kang suddenly appeared in a wheelchair. Taeho was extremely surprised. Huiju immediately went inside so that her father could talk to Taeho. Then Chairman Kang informed Taeho of something. The trial of the defendant, In-ha, was also underway. When the judge asked In-ha to say his last words, he looked in the direction of the two people who used to be his friends. Then he said that they had walked together and looked in the same direction, but unfortunately they had different destinations. Then the judge began to pronounce the sentence. Defendant In-ha had murdered his older brother and attempted to murder his accomplice, Mo Gi-jun. Defendant In-ha was sentenced to life in prison. Taeho then visited In-ha. Taeho said that he would not forgive In-ha. Hearing this, In-ha also said that he had no intention of asking for forgiveness. Taeho then asked why he did that to him. In-ha said that he could not remember the reason. Maybe it was just because it was Taeho. Taeho heard and said that he was very happy to be friends with In-ha. He always remembered the moment when he first asked to be friends with In-ha. Taeho showed the graduation photo of the three of them and walked away. In-ha had been about to say something to Taeho, but decided not to. He said goodbye and added that they would not see each other again outside. Taeho then walked out of the prison. In-ha looked at the graduation photo that he had taken with Taeho and Hye-won. Huiju decided to pack her bags and go on a trip. She informed Song-ju that the trip might be quite long. She promised to have a drink with Song-ju when she returned. Hye-won went back to being a political advisor. That night, Taeho came to find her and asked her to go out for a beer. While they were drinking together, Taeho asked why Hye-won had never visited In-ha. Hye-won said that she had wanted to focus on her own path. She also expressed her admiration for Taeho because he had been able to achieve his goals without changing himself. Taeho then said that Hye-won had not changed at all. They had still lived as strongly as possible to achieve their goals. Taeho and Hye-won had never changed. At that time in prison, In-ha was also doing something negative. A tear fell on the commemorative photo of the three of them. 3 years passed quickly. Song-ju became the CEO of Co-Prosperity Cooperation Center. Because of his management, the company grew by more than 10%. He was also the leader of the global business of Congo Group. Taeho went to see Congo's chairman at a very high place. He said that the chairman's dream had come true. In front of them was the largest city, Royal Road, and Congressman Lee had by then become the new president of Korea. With the help of political advisor Hye-won, Song-ju went to the top floor of the Congo Group's tower to meet Chairman Taeho. 3 years earlier, Chairman Kang had told Taeho that while he had been in the hospital, he had almost lost Congo, but it had been Taeho who had helped the group overcome the crisis. The chairman had believed that a person who did not care about Congo for personal gain could become the owner of the 151st floor. However, Taeho had failed to protect his love, friends, and even his family. In the end, he'd had nothing by his side, but the chairman had given him one last chance to protect that. Taeho now asked Song-ju if he regretted not being able to sit in the position that should have been his. Song-ju said that if he said no, he would be lying, but anyway, he believed in his father's choice. He never chose the wrong person. Then he reminded Taeho not to be subjective. If Taeho made any mistakes in management, he would climb up to that position right away. Taeho also smiled and said that he would do his best. Then, while sitting in the car, Taeho received a picture from Huiju. She reported to him about her current situation in Mexico. Guanji called and asked why Taeho had sent him so much money for a vacation. Taeho just told Guanji to forget about work and enjoy the vacation comfortably. After that, Guanji also started to have fun with his two teammates and the gang leader at a luxurious swimming pool. Meanwhile, Taeho went to Congo Group and nodded to Chairman Park and Song-ju. Then he led the delegation inside. That night, Taeho stood on the 151st floor of the tower with a congratulatory card for the opening ceremony of the Congo Children's Foundation. He looked at the fireworks flying beautifully in the sky. Hye-won was also watching the fireworks. Taeho said that when he was 18, he had dreamed of this moment. Now the dream has come true, and now he was still dreaming of another dream for himself. The drama has ended here. Thank you for your interest in watching. Goodbye, and see you again.